Here. Good evening, everybody. Happy. Actually, what am I doing? It's Friday night and the feeling's right. Gonna have some fun. Show you how it's done. TGI McAgee3. Actually, incorrect. This is actually our February edition of McAgee3 Meetup. It's your man McAgee3 here. My guest is an NSFW artist. He has been doing his artwork for a number of years. My guest this time is KMBus. Say hello, my friend.
Hello, everybody. How's it going tonight?
Okay. I'm going to really need the crowd support here because I need to make sure you guys can hear him okay. We ran into a few snags working on this. So we're just doing the best we can at this point. In the meantime, while I'm looking over stuff, Canvas, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, my name is KMBus. I go by KM or Bus. I'm a digital artist, a PNG tuber. Mostly stream on Twitch, but I also go back and forth between here and Picardo. I've been streaming since 2017, but really only started doing more stuff on Twitch recently over the last like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but otherwise, I've been doing art since I was five. I'm actually been drawing semi-professionally for the last 20 years. Trying to building up on my own style, doing my stuff like that there. Um, Otherwise, yeah, that's that's pretty much it for me in a nutshell.
Okay, okay. Um, so let's see here. Let's start with some basic stuff while we get set up and get started. For those that are wondering, we're actually going to be doing, as you can tell, we're going to be doing a joint art stream. I'm actually oh gosh, hold on. This is why we double check our stuff here. One second. Just gotta fix this. Boop. There we go. Okay, that at least is straight. Um, so let's see. So let's start with some basic questions. So, tell me why content creation? Why do you go
Uh,
and do content creation?
as far as it goes with that part of it, there, I think it's just natural progression for what I was getting into. Um, for me as an artist, because artist came first before everything else. I wanted to get big into it, like trying to get into my art, try to get something out there, something like that. And for me, before I got into content creation, it was more so just trying to sell my art, get myself out there, going to conventions, selling stuff like that. But when I stopped being able to actually attend conventions, like be able to put the time and money into it, I wanted to do something else. So I just started to stream instead.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was more so a way for me to keep kind of motivated, still keep myself out there, stuff like that. Um, but as it's progressed into it since then, like I've gotten more joy out of it. So I actually really do enjoy like actually streaming and putting myself out there through this part of it. Like I would love to be able to go back to conventions, but for the most part, this has been just a much easier avenue for me to get myself out there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really the main reasons why I do it. Like I do it because like one, just it's cost effective for me, and then two, I just get so much joy out of being able to share my art with people and stuff like that, and being able to hang out with people online.
Mm-hmm.
So those are really the two driving forces for me when it comes to content creation.
Okay. Okay. So tell me. So what initially got you started in terms of like drawing? Like, cause we all have our humble beginnings, you know. Nobody ever starts out like drawing freaking Picasso or whatever the case, for lack of a better term. Like, what got you started? What caused you to put pen and ink to paper?
uh, so it really kind of goes back to my childhood, honestly, as cliche as that sounds. Um, So for me, drawing started off as an avenue for me to kind of communicate with people and stuff like that. There, like I was very introverted when I was a kid, very shy, very timid, didn't really know how to talk with people and that sort. But one thing I always really enjoyed was cartoons. Like I loved like watching a bunch of different cartoons when I was a kid, like Looney Tunes and Disney like afternoon shows and stuff like that. There and like some of the other stuff that came up like in the '90s. Um, so and I just got into this habit of just like looking at something and just trying to draw it, like just trying to draw like what I saw and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And what really kind of drove it for me during that is that like I noticed that even with just my immediate family, how much attention it was getting, you know. So it's like, oh, like okay,
Mm-hmm.
and it just kind of bloomed from there. Like just drawing, just like basically just looking at stuff, drawing stuff like that there. And then over time, it just kind of progressed. Like as I started getting more comfortable with drawing stuff that I saw, I wanted to start drawing my own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Met a couple of other artists that were doing that, and that just kind of blew my mind because I was just like, "You can draw your own things, like you can draw your own stuff." Like, okay, um, and it just kind of grew from there. I just got more influenced by like other artists that I met, other artists that I saw, like whether it be in comics or meeting in person, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it just became just a thing. Like I just have a lot of passion for it.
Okay, okay. So like, so what's like what shows in particular like really got you going? Like,
Uh, so the shows that really got me back then, like when I was a kid, was stuff like was it like I would say like Voltron,
mm-hmm.
um, Transformers.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I don't really draw a lot of robot, the ones that really got me kind of influenced at first.
Mm-hmm.
But then the bigger influences came during the '90s, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Oh, that's a
Ronin
good one.
Warriors. Yep, yep.
You're
Uh,
speaking my language right now. Ninja Turtles, Ronin Warriors. Okay, we're batting 1,000 right now. Please continue.
no problem. But yeah, like stuff like that there, man. Like I got into like Dragon Ball and like what's it, Sailor Moon and stuff like that. Just a bunch of like I naturally progressed in towards anime just
Hmm.
because it was just like I don't know, I just gravitated towards it. I mean, like I was watching shows like with Voltron, like not even realizing it was anime at first, just naturally progressed into
Hmm.
it. um but yeah, those are kind of things that I saw at first there, and those were kind of stuff that kind of influenced me. That and like video games, like stuff like Mega Man, Mario Brothers, Legend of Zelda, Metroid, stuff like that. There, just like all of that, like started to kind of tie into like what I was drawing and some of the focus and influence that I got into.
Hmm. Okay, so we got Voltron. So I'm noticing like the ones that you mentioned, Voltron, Ronin Warriors, Ninja Turtles. You seem to be a bit of a Sentai guy, huh?
Uh, a bit. like and it wasn't really even intentional either, but like I always kind of pictured myself because like for me, I kind of liked the Sentai stuff before like Power Rangers came out, and and I don't mind Power Rangers, but like I never really got big into it.
Hmm.
But like any of the stuff before that, prior to it, that came out, was stuff that like I was getting into, like any of that type of stuff there. Like Ronin Warriors is a huge influence for me.
Uh-huh.
I love I love anything and everything samurai. And
Oh,
that
okay.
show that show was the epitome of my childhood right there. Like I was right there watching it every single day it came out. Like I did not miss an episode. And
Nice.
I absolutely hated it that like because it was like at the time when I was watching it, it was only in syndicate. It wasn't even on Cartoon Network yet.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so I mean, I was up in the early mornings at like 5 a.m. watching the local station that was like broadcasting it just in between stuff. Um, and so I mean, but I watched it dedicated, like even like at moments when for some dumb reason they would like restart the series. Like they would get like maybe like 20 episodes in, and then all of a sudden they would like restart it again and start running it from there. And
You're
just
talking about
so,
the Ocean Dub Dragon Ball Z effect, where it would
oh
start
yeah,
at
yeah.
Day of Raditz and it would end with the fight between Goku and Raccoon, and it would start all
Hmm.
the way back over to Day of Raditz. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, it was. Oh god, like that whole thing is just like was just grueling to go through. like,
Right.
people like kids nowadays don't understand like when it comes to like anime. Like there was like trying to get access to it and try to watch it and stuff like that, especially when it was like syndicated, was just horrible because you never knew what was going to happen. You never knew what was going to go on, and like there were so many times where they would just randomly do that, where it was just like you'd be already caught up in this cliffhanger, and then all of a sudden you go back to the first episode. And you're
Right.
like, okay, well maybe it's just this 1 week, maybe they're just off or something, maybe they're just waiting for production or something. Next week it's the second episode, and it's just like, oh no.
Yeah, and it is like literally the worst feeling when you just you're trying to watch the daggone thing and it starts you over and you're like, no.
Right,
Why?
exactly, dude. Like it's oh god, like I mean, like anime fans nowadays don't ever have to worry about that. Like they got we got all the streaming now. We've got like they act like on actual networks. They actually make sure to follow through the episodes properly. They don't just randomly restart like they used to, stuff like that. There, but back in the day, man, when it wasn't all prevalent and stuff like that, it
Mm-hmm.
was just rough. And I think it was. I honestly feel it's probably because like most of the cartoons that were out at the time, westernized and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
were all not really like telling much outside like individual like episodes. Like there weren't like any like ongoing like arcing stories and that sort. So they
Mm-hmm.
never really thought about it. Is what I kind of imagined,
Yeah.
and I think that's kind of how it happened. It was just like, oh well, like we'll just start it over, whatever. And it's just like, come on, man, you're like killing the story for me.
Yeah, cause with a lot of, especially like with American made cartoons, it was less about like the narrative and the property, and it was more about the business side, the selling of toys and
Mm-hmm.
merchandise, and that's all it really was for like the longest time. Like
Mm-hmm.
I know there's also like some cartoons where like the few cartoons that didn't really do that, you can kind of count on one hand. Like the few that
Mm-hmm.
I can think of off the top of my head, Exo Squad, Conan the Barbarian, and
Oh
Mighty
yeah,
Max.
yeah, yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, because those were
Yeah.
like the few cartoons that had like a beginning, middle, and end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the other ones, like it would get up to a point, but once the toy sales started going down, it was a wrap.
Pretty much. Pretty much. And it's kind of funny too, because I mean, like now, like looking back at it now knowing more of that aspect of it, because I mean, I've seen documentaries now about how '80s and '90s cartoons were pretty much just like for toy advertisement and that sort,
Mm-hmm.
and based around that. And it's kind of funny because when you think about it, like how that was, because I mean, there was definitely a series that would come out and
Mm-hmm.
they'd play through, and then as soon as the popularity died, like that was it. Like there was no continuation, no nothing. Sometimes you were
Right.
left on cliffhangers, and oh god, it's so hard back then, man.
So in terms of shows that kind of that did that, where it was like you had it would start, but then it would just stop. Like, was there
Hmm.
a show in particular that was just a huge heartbreaker for you that did that?
Yes, yes, and not a lot of people know about it, but it was a westernized cartoon. At least I believe it is. I don't know if it was animated East or not, but it
Mm-hmm.
was a 3D animation, a 2D/3D animation called Bots Master, and it was about maybe 1 to 2 seasons, I think. I forget exactly, but um, oh man. But the show was about this one kid who had previously worked for a company that was building these
Are we still following
and
this
he was
guy?
making them just for like just for fun type stuff there, like most like assistant robots for like sports or
Mm-hmm.
helping around the home or stuff like that there. But the company he worked for was taking it into more of like a military like aspect, and they
Mm-hmm.
kind of forced his designs to be that way and that sort. So he rebelled against them.
Mm-hmm.
So he and his sister kind of played like these modern day like hacker like rebellious types trying to bring down the company and that sort, using his robots and modify him to help him with this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such a cool show because I mean like I said, like as you probably already could tell, I had a huge liking for robots when I was young,
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah.
and like the robots the robots with that show were just so cool. There was this one in particular that he like it wasn't one of his original ones that he had made like well part of that company, but it was this ninja like one that he created outside of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the coolest damn robot ever. Like it was so cool, and like I just used to love watching it so much, and it had a great story, great characters, and they left it at a cliffhanger where he was kind of like he was kind of being forced to have to work for the company again because like something about like his sister got kidnapped or something like that there, and he was trying to find a way to save her and that sort of something along those lines. And the story and the series just ended like right there. Like it had this big huge cliffhanger, but like he got past like something I forget exactly the details, but it was something like he had defeated like one of the major enemies that he'd been dealing with throughout the whole series. But then there was like some inkling that there's some other bigger bad that's out there, you know, and he was getting forced in these things and stuff. So
That's very important. Hello,
it
how you
had
doing?
such a really good cliffhanger and everything, so I was looking forward to it, but stopped it right there. Production just completely stopped. Never went continue. It never continued. And oh man, it broke my heart so much. But it was another one of those syndicated shows where if you didn't get up at like 5 a.m. and like went looking for it on your local station, you know, you would never know about it. And like
you just never ever know about it. Oh my gosh, yeah. Like, because like, funnily enough, like, even though it's not the case with this particular show, like when Pokemon first got started, I actually stumbled on it. Right, I didn't even realize that. I didn't even realize what I was looking at when it first aired, and but we all know what the story of Pokemon is. So
yeah,
but like in terms of like a show where I kind of it was a bit of heartbreaking for me for like the longest time. It was what's that show called? It's Pirates of Darkwater.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, like Pirates of Darkwater for the longest time ended on a daggone cliffhanger. And like I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't until Cartoon Network started running the episodes, because that's when Cartoon Network decided, hey, you know what we can do? We can take this show and we can finish it. So that's basically what they did. I heard that they actually did, like, either they called it like the forgotten, the lost episodes, or whatever the case. But basically, Pirates of Darkwater is actually done.
Oh wow.
The only thing was I didn't watch it because they were showing it, but I didn't get a chance to watch it at the time. So obviously, I'll have to do my homework and see if I can just track it down at this rate, because it's like, that's one of those shows where like it pulls you in. It's really, really cool, but then it's like it doesn't sell toys, so we won't finish it. Then like you have to wait until years and years later, and it's done now. But then they stop airing it anyway, and it's like, okay, so now I have to do searching. Oh my gosh. So tell me, why content creation? Why, like, you know, what like you might have dabbled into it a little bit earlier, but why start putting your stuff out there for, you know, for the public to bear witness? What?
I mean, like I was saying before, like as an artist first, right?
Right.
I wanted to like as I started getting more comfortable with it and like getting, you know, more experience with it, like I really wanted to kind of just put myself out there. Like it kind of goes back to like the whole thing with like drawing as a kid and that sort, because like a lot of my ambition when I started was that I wanted to be like a comic artist or an animator or something like that there, right? And life didn't really kind of progress that way towards that, just because things happened and that sort. So as I kind of started getting more into it and just kind of just trying to test the water to see where I could go, you know, it just the avenues for that just kind of changed. I mean, it went from like animation and comics to wanting to do conventions and stuff. Like I have friends who actually just go to conventions all year long and that's their job. Right. And I had originally wanted to try and do that as well, but ended up not being able to just because of finances and that sort. So when looking, you know, trying to look for like different avenues and that sort of thing, streaming just kind of filled that gap of like being able to share my art with people, get myself out there and that sort. And through this, I've just learned to really enjoy like streaming and sharing with people, talking with people, hanging out, doing my art, sharing my art, you know, and it's just become a really joyous thing for me. So even though it's not really my career, it is my side thing. It is what I am passionate about. I like being able to get online, just come on, just start talking with people,
Mm-hmm.
drawing with people, stuff like that. There, just sharing my art, talking about stuff, hanging out. It's it's kind of my how can I put it? It's my passion and also my stress relief.
Right, right, right. I feel you. I feel on that.
And that's why I do it. I mean, like I really enjoy this, and like even though I know that I'm not ever gonna probably get to that point of being a professional artist in the sense that I had originally intended to,
Mm-hmm.
it is something that I still hope to be acknowledged for and hope to get better at. It's like something I'm progressively trying to do more with.
Mm-hmm.
And streaming has become a part of that now, where I really like all the people that I've met through the all the different streaming communities I've been through and met and stuff like that there, and all of them are very passionate about it, and it just kind of drives me to want to do the same. So,
Okay. And so what drew you to Twitch specifically? Because I know there's like a bunch of other platforms that are out there, but what pulled you in the direction of Twitch? Is that where you started, or did you start like somewhere else in terms of a like a site to actually get that sort of thing going?
oh, sure, sure. So I started off with Picardo.
Okay.
Like I had originally looked at Twitch, and I didn't know if it was going to be right for me
Mm-hmm.
at first.
Mm-hmm.
But I started off with Picardo.tv, and the reason why I did it is because when I saw that community, I liked the aspect of how it had like multi-streaming with other artists and stuff. Like people can
Mm-hmm.
come in there, you can stream with up to four people at the same time, looking at the art and that sort. Because again, my perspective at that point was that I wanted to just be around more artists and draw and stuff. Because like at the time, I wasn't really around a lot of other people in real life. Like my
Mm-hmm.
job kind of kept me restrained and stuff like that there, to where I couldn't really be around others.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's what attracted me to that site, and that's what I started there. Um, Now, what pulled me over to Twitch was just that, like, as I got more into that site there, a lot of the narrative there is focused around like not safe for work stuff, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm completely fine with. It's cool and everything, but like at the same time, it's not everything that I draw.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then also too, like with especially like with my son being home and stuff at times, like I can't really be on that site, like
Right.
like with all that stuff going on. So, I started looking at Twitch again and was thinking like, okay, yeah, let me maybe try again here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually kind of funny because like what really kind of drove me back to Twitch and why I stream mostly on Twitch now,
Mm-hmm.
um, is because of the people that I've met that like that stream primarily on here.
Right.
Um, there was a there was an event that we kind of had with me and a few friends back on Picardo about 2 to 3 years ago now at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Where we were just drawing, having just random conversation, and then somebody brought up VTubers.
Right.
And before that, I had not known what a VTuber was. I was like, "What? What is this?"
Not gonna lie, I didn't know what a VTuber was for the longest time either. But go on.
Don't worry, there's a lot of people I know that are kind of like that too.
Mm-hmm.
But they start talking about like people start talking about like their favorite VTubers and that sort. And I was like, oh, okay. So I started doing a little bit of research into that.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this one that we all mutually liked. So they were just talking about like wanting to do fan art of this like VTuber and everything. So I was like, okay, cool. So I started promoting the idea of us doing like a multi-stream, just like focused on like doing fan art for this one VTuber.
Mm-hmm.
And I just my typical self, like I tried putting out there where I could. So I tried reaching out to that VTuber,
Mm-hmm.
just to see if she would be okay with us doing so. See if there's some way maybe we can like collaborate together or advertise it together or something like that. I started putting up some advertisements on Twitter and like just kind of like highlighting us as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like, so I was trying to make it into a thing, and we actually did end up doing the multi-stream, and we had quite a few people there. It wasn't big, but maybe like 20 or 30 people or so. But it was still a lot of fun. And then after that, my friends, they were like, "So who are we doing next? What other VTuber are we doing?" Like, and I was like, I don't know. So that led me down a trail that I was not expecting whatsoever. Um, so at that time, I started looking to other VTubers and stuff like that, and I eventually came across a VTuber named Ellie. She goes by Ellie En on here.
Uh-huh.
And
Shout out to
at the
everyone.
time, yeah, she's fairly big now, but like back at the time, she had maybe only like 5,000 followers on like on Twitter or that sort, and just only getting like maybe like 50 people in her stream or that sort of thing. But like I started reaching out to her, just talking to her, and she openly asked me to like DM her on Discord and shared some of my ideas about like doing like some like like artist gathering together, doing like some art for her, stuff like that, and she loved the idea of it. It's just couldn't really plan out anything offhand. But like after that instance of that, I started meeting more people from her community and that sort. Other people who were aspiring to be streamers or were already streamers as well, and that sort of thing, and other VTubers and that sort. And it just blossomed it as this cool little networking thing that I'd never expected. And a lot of them started asking me like, so like, when you going to stream your art on Twitch? I'm like, so, and that kind of sparked that idea that like, hey, you know what? I've got friends now that stream on here. I would love to be able to collaborate with them more and network with them more. So it just kind of led to me doing like, okay, let me try again with Twitch here. Let me see if I can come on here and do this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what kind of started. Like I got on here like I got on here about a year and a half ago, 2 years or something like that, and that's it. I wasn't doing much at first. I actually had a different channel, like it was under a different name at first. Was trying to do some gaming and stuff like that, and it didn't really go as well as I would liked. But I just went ahead and just renamed myself and and then tried again. And I started doing it here. I was actually doing webcam streams at first.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up stopping though because like the way I had my setup, my camera was sitting on top of my tablet monitor I have, and like every time I would go to draw, my head would lean into the shot, and I would like see like this balding spot on the back of my head. I'm like, oh shit. So after that, I was thinking like, you know what, I gotta ditch the cam. I gotta ditch the cam. So I ended up making my PNG, but I like that you see now. Like so I use that now as my avatar.
Right.
So I never intended to be a VTuber, but it became one of convenience.
Yeah, and then the cool thing is like, cause I've watched your streams, of course, and
Mhm.
like I don't like, cause a lot of the VTubers that I've accustomed to seeing are the ones that usually have like full blown like 3D models that are like
Oh yeah.
moving as they move and whatnot.
Mhm.
Whereas you basically use your avatar, which is on screen right now, and you
Mhm.
like had it set up to where every time there's sound when you're talking, it'll like kind of hop up and down, and the mouth will open up. And
Yep.
like I don't see that as often, but at the same time, I think that's probably a good thing because it means you're more unique than your peers, So, and Chance,
Well, definitely preach.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
But
go ahead.
definitely, definitely appreciate it. The thing about it is that in the VTubing scene, they
Mm,
call them PNG tubers,
right.
and it's literally a PNG with a few frames.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what it is that for anybody starting off like with VTubing, they can't immediately purchase like those bigger rigged like 3D models or 2D or live 2D models and that sort because for that it takes a lot of like investment, whether it be like either practice to even build your own or a lot of money that you have to pay towards somebody who has that skill in that sort.
Right.
Like some of the bigger models that you'll see nowadays, like with VTubers, it costs anywhere from like one to maybe like $5,000,
Yeah,
honestly.
it sounds like the pricing is probably the yes, the PNG is also less distracting. I agree.
Sure,
FSN
sure.
Porte. Um, but yeah, like the pricing of like the VTuber models is like in the same ballpark as furries costumes, like the high end ones,
Oh yeah,
where you're
yeah,
you're, you're
definitely.
basically paying for like a daggone sports car Well, no, you're paying for like excuse me, you're paying for a used car, but but a used car is still like $5,000, so it's still a lot of money, all things considered.
Oh yeah.
Whereas one will actually get you from point A to point B, provided that you put gas into it. Whereas the other, it's mainly an aesthetic, so that way you can have your persona or fursona, depending on which subject matter you're speaking of.
Right. And so like what a lot of people will do when they get into this community is that they'll start off with something simpler and that sort. Like for me, I just drew my PNG.
Right.
Like I just made it, like I drew a picture of myself, kind of customized a little bit, like how I'd like to wear and what I'd like to look like and stuff, and then just made a couple frames for it. And that's literally, they have like little simple programs you can use to help animate those that react to like your voice, like as you're speaking and that sort. And that's what I do for me. Like now, would I like to move into something a little bit more elaborate later on? Yeah, sure, of course. But for now, I'm comfortable with what I have. I'll probably make it a better models like sometime, maybe this year or so. I don't know. But yeah, like it, and that's like where a lot of people start off. Like I have a couple friends, who are PNG tubers as well, and that's where they start off too. And it's just kind of a progressive thing. Like as you get a following, as you save up money and that sort, you can work towards getting better models and that sort of thing. It's kind of a common practice that, like, for anybody getting into this, into like VTubing, that you want to just get something out there and don't worry about it too much at first when you're starting off.
Right.
Don't worry, because a lot of people tend to think like when you're getting into this, that you have to spend like that $2,000 to $3,000 just to get a model and that sort of, like, no, that's not the case. You can start off with something kind of simple. There's even free models out there you can use. And just use it for a time being, and then once you get the backing and savings for it, then you start elaborating on it.
Right.
And I plan to do the same. I mean, like, I don't know if I'll ever get big, but if I ever get the money for it and that sort, and it's something that I can invest in, then yeah, I'll do that. Like, or if I teach myself how to do live 2D and that sort of thing, I might eventually do that at some point.
Right.
It just depends, but yeah, no, I'm pretty okay with what I have. It was actually kind of funny because, like, when I started using the model versus the webcam, right? The first thing I did is that, and it started off with like me working. It was actually, I was in a stream with a friend. He was doing, he was playing, what was it? Ace Attorney, was it Phoenix Wright? And he was having his friends. Oh yeah, it's a great series. But like, he was having his friends do the voices for the different characters, right?
Oh, nice.
And yep, and he had asked me to do the judge. And I love stuff like that, so I don't mind it whatsoever. But like at the time he was telling us like, hey, we're gonna do it through Discord. I don't really want to have you just showing your icon there. So do you have anything else you can use for instead of your icon? And I was just scrambling to find something, and the first thing I found, and you may have seen it, is my sus bus like little like thing that I made. So that actually became, because of that stream, my first model. So I used that for a little bit. And then I decided that, like, okay, I'm gonna stop being lazy. I'm gonna actually draw a character for myself, and did that sometime late last year. And I've been using the model ever since. So.
Yeah, because I peeped the sus bus on one of your recent works that you did on social media not too long ago, where I believe you were doing like a character swap of some description, and you put the sus bus on the female figure's hip, I think, on their clothes.
Yes. Okay, so story about that, right?
All right.
Is that picture that I was drawing was for my friend Toyster VT.
Okay.
He and his he and a mutual friend were like, well, actually the mutual friend between both of us was posted up a thing on Twitter where he was talking about like how he's doing the rigging, because like he's a live 2D artist, and he's working on the model for Toyster, right?
Okay.
And he had jokingly put out there about wanting to do a gender bend version of the character, right?
Oh, okay.
And a lot of our mutual friends within the community were just kind of egging him on, like, "Oh, you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it." And he was like, and he was like, I don't know. I kind of, I'd rather see somebody else do that, instead of me.
Mm.
I read that and I'm like, I'm doing it. Like, so I kept egging him on, like, dude, give me the refs. Give me the refs. So I ended up kind of creating the design. Like, I took his original design of the actual like model and redesigned it for a female version of it. And then just kind of drew it out there for it. But after I'd finished it, or getting close to finishing it, Toyster like actually saw me finishing up the picture, and he had requested that I put my stamp on the butt. And I'm like, dude, come on. And he was like, no, you have to do this. You have to do this. So I was like, okay, fine. So I took it a step further. I'm like, I'm going to do this. And that's when I took the sus bus and just slapped it on there.
You had to put your special signature on there.
Exactly.
That way people know where it came from. All right.
Oh, man. I was so not intended, but he insisted. So I'm like, okay.
Right.
But oh man.
So let me ask you something. Because we did like on one of your streams, we kind of went over like how how you got into doing this sort of thing and whatnot. And even this evening, we kind of went over it as well. My question for you is, how long did it take you to kind of find your I guess your signature style for the female form specifically, since I see mostly that from you?
Yeah, I honestly prefer drawing female characters over male, and actually the premise of that actually started back in high school.
Okay.
When I was trying to find my style initially.
Right.
I was always told by my peers back then that the female figure is harder to draw than the male character. And based off that mostly at the beginning is why I started drawing female characters mostly. Is because I wanted to be like, I wanted to try and get into it as much as I could. And it started off with that. Afterwards, like as it's progressed, like since then, like it's just become just like something that I enjoy. Like I enjoy the female figure a little bit more than the male figure, and it's not not just because like, oh hey, I can make it not safe for work or whatever and stuff like that.
Right.
It's just that for me, I enjoy drawing like the curves and the figure more than I do with a male character, and I think honestly because like just in general, like when look at, like especially like look at fashion for example, right? There's a lot more variety and things you'll find being done with the female figure than you will see with the male figure.
Right.
Like, and it's because like for most part, when it comes to guys, it's typically t-shirt, pants, just shoes, stuff like that there. And then of course you can have your own different variants and that sort of thing.
Right.
But like with females, you have dresses, you have like skirts, you have like tops, and like all these other different things and that sort. And I think that's primarily why like I've been just more focused on drawing female characters than I have male, because I just feel like there's a lot more variety and opportunity there when it comes to drawing out stuff. And it's not to say that I don't enjoy guys. I do enjoy drawing guys here and there, and I have, of course. I don't know. It's just my gravitation to like just want to draw like female characters in like different outfits and that sort of thing. But as far as like the general style goes, as far as like getting into it, I was very much influenced by like some of the early animes that I saw, like I mentioned earlier. One anime in particular that really drove it for me, as far as like style goes, was Ranma 1/2.
Oh, I remember that.
Yep. Rumiko Takahashi's work is something that I really enjoyed a lot back during the late 90s.
Even when it makes you mad. Yep.
Of course. But I really like her work a lot, and Ranma 1/2 was just something that was just so foreign to me when I first saw it. And the style was just so striking. And I just gravitated to it so much, like back then when I was trying to find my style. But then after that, like came like other series that I had seen, like Trigun, for example, with what was it, Yoshiro Naito's work.
Aisha
And then
Clan, baby.
oh man, but yeah, like stuff like that. There, like stuff like late '90s, early 2000s, like kind of anime that was coming up here in America was like stuff that kind of influenced my style a bit. But then,
Hmm.
but then also in high school, I got exposed to a lot of American like artists as well, both like with sort of major comic studios and that sort, and then some other indie stuff. Like another artist that really influenced my work was a guy named Fred Perry.
Sounds familiar.
Is a I don't. Some people know him, some people don't.
Hmm.
But he is an American manga artist.
Hmm.
He works for Antarctic Press, which is a smaller comic studio. He does a series called Gold Digger, which is what he's best known for.
Okay.
And he's very much a very hybrid style of like anime based, like kind of like anime manga based, like art with comic influences and stuff like that. There,
Hmm.
and his style, his work was what really kind of drove me to what I do now.
Uh-huh.
Um, which like at the time, like he was like what I mentioned, he was drawing anime with comic influences and that sort, and that's kind of what I started getting into. Like I wanted to do something like that, like anime with comic like stylings and that sort.
Uh-huh.
So that's why like you'll see me do like the varied like inking and that sort of thing, which is not too common with like anime style. Usually it's very like thin lines, you know, very pristine and that sort. But yeah, so that's kind of what started it,
Uh-huh.
and then from there it's just been just general influence of like other artists I've been around, that I've met, that I've enjoyed their work for, and just kind of just like fine tuning it since then. Um, so like nowadays, like I kind of look at my style a little bit where I kind of feel like it's more anime cartoon is what I
Uh-huh.
kind of feel like I gravitates toward more towards now.
Hmm.
Is that I'm trying to keep more of like like a stylized style, like a with little bit more simplicity to it.
Hmm.
Um, so, but it's always constantly changing. I mean, that's the thing. Like over time, like and this goes for like any artist. Like over time, your stuff will change as it goes because you again your interests and what you're into will change as well, and that's kind of what happens, you know. Like, and that's kind of how it's been for me. Is that like as the years have gone by, I mean, I've been doing this for like well, doing my own style now for a little over 20 years. Um, it's just changed a lot since just over that period.
Hmm. And yeah, and the other thing is when it comes to like the anime style, the fact that like another key thing that really helps out a lot because once upon a time when I was going to college, the instructors there basically denounced the anime style quite a bit because it was like
Oh yeah.
that's not, that's not the style that you need to learn in order to make it and this other blah blah blah. And it's like on one side I understand where they're coming from when they say that, but on the other hand, look at what we have, right? First off, anime
Yeah.
is mainstream as it's ever been here in the States. Uh,
Hmm.
and then like you have all these shows that have such extremely heavy anime influencing around it. What is it?
Hmm.
Freaking you've got Avatar the Last Airbender, you've got what's the show? Something Falls. Uh
Oh, Gravity Falls?
you have Gravity
Oh
Falls,
yeah.
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 You mentioned Teen Titans,
Hmm.
just a lot of really heavy anime influence in there. And it's like,
Right.
there is a market for that, right? Now,
Hmm.
that said market might be a bit oversaturated at this point, but it's
Hmm.
like, I guess if there was ever if there was ever a time to have an anime-esque style in your artwork, now is definitely that time.
Oh yeah.
So you're basically, in the right place at the right time in that regard.
I mean, as far as it goes, like on that part of it, like it's become so much, it's so well saturated, and then also like influential to like the Western culture now,
Hmm.
that you'll see it everywhere. And like, and I think what it was is that like I think when it comes to like colleges and that sort of thing, they like to keep more to the traditional, like traditional art
Right,
and that
right,
sort of
right,
thing. And and there's nothing wrong with that. It's
right,
just that this has become an interest for a lot of people because again, a lot of people, like especially in our generation and generations since then, um, have been very influenced by like anime.
right,
Um, and when it comes to like colleges and that sort, like, and it's part of why, like, for me, like, I'm mostly self-taught.
right.
Like, I only got to go to a community college,
Mhm,
for about a year and a half to 2 years, and
mhm.
I didn't get the chance to graduate, but I took some art classes then. Most of it was just like education and history and that sort, but there was some practical practice and that sort as well.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, same thing. They didn't want us to focus on like anime. They want us to more learn like techniques and
Yeah,
realism and that
techniques,
sort.
life drawing. Which don't get me wrong, life drawing is extremely helpful,
Oh yeah.
by a substantial margin. Uh, that sort of stuff.
Mhm. Oh no, completely agree. Um, and the thing is that for me, like, because like I've met so many other artists that have gone through that and have gotten that lectures and stuff like that there, and they're drilled into like the all the techniques and realism and stuff like that there, and it's not bad to learn all that because of that, because again, those are principles and elements that you will use in drawing regardless.
Right.
um but I feel like style is something that like isn't really respected a lot in college,
Mm-hmm.
or in art schools like that,
Right.
um because they want you to learn the basics of like how art works, and like different things about it,
Right.
and all of it is helpful, but at the same time, I think when it comes to style, they don't want you to have a particular style. They want you to just understand all these things and then try to find yourself on it. And then as you gravitate towards something that is already pre-established, which is how they look at it. They feel like it's just it's like stifling your potential. Basically, is what they feel.
Right.
And I can kind of see it. I can kind of see it. But the thing is, for me, is that art is art. You know, it can be whatever you want it to be. You
Right.
know, and that's the principle behind the basics of art, is that like art is just you expressing yourself in however way you want to, using whatever materials and media you choose to use it with, right?
Right.
um and when it comes to like art colleges and that sort of those professors and that sort of thing, I think that's what was happening before, is that like there wasn't really any respect for anime, because anime to the general person looks very generic, the same.
Right.
There's no real difference in that sort. Whereas for people like you and I who have been around it for a while, we'll look at it and we'll see the different styles between the different artists. We'll see
Mm-hmm.
the little like nuances between them and that sort. And that's all stuff that they developed over time, looking at things, mixing stuff, just like how originality is supposed to be. It's,
Right.
the mixing of things you see, things you think, stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I just feel like, from like, how can I put it? That was my train of thought here. I apologize.
Nah, dude, take your time. This is great. Look, it be like that sometimes, man. You're on a roll,
True,
and then you're
true.
like, wait, what was I getting to again?
Let me pull back a moment because I'm looking
Right, right,
to
right.
drift here. Um, but yeah, like I just feel like when it comes to learning art, and I say this to a lot of people who's starting off, because I do get people sometimes who come up to me and ask me like, "What should I do? How can I get better?" Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it. Yeah, you do want to learn anatomy. You want to learn your basics and stuff like that. There, of
Mm-hmm.
course, you want to make sure you get your structure and form and learn your shapes. Um, but I do feel like we need goals. You know,
Right.
and if you don't have a goal, then I feel like the dedication and the passion that you would put towards this hobby would not be there.
Right. It would
And I
just die out.
exactly, and that's what that's why like whenever anybody asks me like or starts to tell me that like, oh, I can't draw, I would love to learn how to draw, I always tell them like, look, you're definitely going to want to learn your stuff. Definitely grab those books and go in what classes you can,
Mm-hmm.
but ideally you want to have a goal. You want to figure out like, what do you want to do with this. And I start that by advising about style. Like, so one of the things that I do, or like one of the things I did actually,
Mm-hmm.
is that when I tried to find my own style, I took like 2 to 3 artists that I liked,
Mm-hmm.
and I kept just trying to draw pictures of work that they had done.
Mm-hmm.
Again, going back to that whole thing I mentioned about like drawing what you see,
Right.
right? So I started off that way. Like I would take one artist, I would draw a bunch of their artwork, like just try to copy as best I can for it. And
Mm-hmm.
then after about like maybe like 3 weeks to a month or so, I would start trying to draw my own stuff without really looking at their things, and then just kind of let that muscle memory kick in to where like, okay, well, I know if I'm drawing this, I should do this, I should do that, making note of the little nuances that they did in their artwork that I picked up on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the intent, is that like whenever I have anybody coming up asking me about that, I tell them like, hey, try this, see if this works, and then after you get done with one artist, move on to the next artist, start doing it with their stuff. And then eventually, as you go through trying to practice the styles of these different artists, there's going to be little things you pick up from them, and then that will help you to build your own style.
Mm-hmm.
And once you have that, I feel that once you actually have that intended goal of like wanting to draw some style and having some basics for it, that's when you come back and reinforce like the anatomy, the shapes and figures, forms, all of that. Because all of that will help build off what you're gaming towards. And,
Mm-hmm.
once you have that ideal set in mind of what style you want to do, it's going to start becoming more natural. You'll start trying to twist and fit it in there for it. It's like a puzzle, you know?
Yeah, you got to
And
piece it together and figure it out.
exactly. And that's kind of like how I went. Like that's how I taught myself, is that like I just pieced together pieces that I liked, practiced it a bit, and then when it came back to it, I started trying to teach myself like nuances of like about like anatomy and shape, form, figure drawing, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm not perfect. I'm not the best. I know there's still more that I could do to help improve my style and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But these are things that I've done thus far, and things that I advise everybody else to do if you want to get into it. Is that like for anybody who wants to get into art, and feels like they can't, start off by, instead of like going right to the books and learning all the anatomy and everything else, all the hard stuff, because it's daunting. Like if you really look at it from another person's perspective, it is daunting how much you have to learn.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a lot. It's a whole lot.
it really is. It really is, and I think that's a lot reason why a lot of people tend to give up in that sort. Um, but before you get into all of that, look at what you like. Look at what you like. If you went and try to draw what you like first. Like it doesn't matter if it turns out great or not. Just look at something, feel how you get a feel for it, and if it's something you like, aim towards that first. And
Mm-hmm.
then once you feel like you've got some of a grip of it or understand some of it, then start putting in the knowledge into it. Start learning up throughout the rest of it and start putting it in there, because it'll start making more sense that way.
Yeah, that's very true. Like, the thing about when it comes to art is that it's real easy to get discouraged because there are a variety of stressors that kind of manifest as a result of them.
Mm-hmm.
Probably one of the, I know this is definitely one I went through quite a bit. A common one is if you unfortunately start comparing your stuff to other people's stuff.
Oh yeah.
And it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
and then you start feeling like, your stuff just isn't good enough because it doesn't look like such and such. And then it's just,
Mm-hmm.
like, little mindsets like that can really cause you to stumble when you're trying to get into drawing,
Mm-hmm.
and can even cause you, like, even people who've been drawing for a while, like, if they feel like if their work doesn't really square up to like an Akira Toriyama or an O Great or a Gendy Tartakovsky, right? Like if it
Mm-hmm.
they feel if it don't square up to that, then it's like, what's even the point?
Right. Right.
And and like and tell me if you agree or disagree. Like a better way to use that energy is, rather than comparing your stuff in the sense of it doesn't look as good as this, rather see what they're doing and find, bits and pieces of it that maybe you can adapt into your own style.
Right. and that's and you know and that's the thing, right? Like a lot of people tend to get discouraged because they want to have like that kind of that instant gratification.
Yeah.
And I've met so many artists that like that. There's been many people where they'll say they'll ask me about like going to get into art, and then they'll be like, oh hey, like I immediately bought a tablet and I bought like Adobe Photoshop and like trying to do all this and I want to do all the digital coloring and everything. It's like whoa, you haven't. like, you haven't put pencil to paper yet, dude. Like you need to stop.
Yeah, like,
Like-
they're buying all the expensive trinkets and stuff, and it's like, whoa, have you drawn a circle yet?
Exactly.
Have you drawn a
Exactly.
circle yet? You're kind of
So-
skipping a few steps here.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And that's the thing about it, right? Is that like you don't need to have all the best stuff right off the bat there. If you just want to start off with just like pencil paper, just try and practice it, just that sort of thing. Because like the more you invest into it, I feel like right off the bat, the more likely you are to fail at it.
Right.
Because you're putting too much into it, and when there's too much there, that's again gonna put stress on you. Especially when it doesn't immediately come out to be like, oh hey, this is a perfect figure of a drawing of a character and stuff like that. Like
Right.
it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, because you just end up just putting way too much pressure on yourself. So then when things don't stack up, you're that much likely to just be like, well, that didn't work. Let me just go ahead and fire up the old PS5 and just do that instead.
Exactly.
So
Oh man. So yeah. So like when it comes to art, like when you're starting out there, you just want to just kind of just start simple. Don't worry about like things being perfect or not. You just want to just kind of just go at it where you can. And I feel like that's one of the problems that like people just immediately want to be like, I want to have like 1 million followers and I want my pictures to have like 200, 300 likes and stuff like that. Like, it's just like, dude, just focus on just doing it first, Um, and then I've had, those same people that have like, that have done that and they're just kind of like, and they don't get what they expect. And it's just kind of like, oh, well, I suck. I'm never going to get there, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, dude, you're putting too much on yourself. You need to sit back, relax, and just go with the flow. This is a hobby that's going to be with you for life. If you really get into it and really enjoy it, you're just going to be doing it for the long run. And it's as you go that you get better,
And then another thing that I've found about it is that, and it kind of correlates with fighting games. Just bear with me on this.
Of course.
One of the things that is very important when it comes to doing art, whether it's digital art, traditional painting, whatever, the main thing you have to remember not to lose sight of is never lose sight of having fun with it.
Exactly.
Gotta have fun with it. If it's not fun, it becomes work. If it becomes work, you're not going to want to do it. You want to know why? Because you're not getting paid to do it. So
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. Because I mean, like, it's again, this is a hobby of passion, and if you're not passionate about it, you're not going to do it. And it's just like one of those things that, like, for me, like, this is like best way I can put it is that for me, when it comes to art, I just get a feeling like I belong. And it happens quite a bit too. Like when I'm drawing something, like I'll get a moment where I'm just in the middle of like just drawing out like a sketch or something like that, and listening to some music, and I just get this feeling where I just start getting giddy about it. Like, and it's
nice.
And it sounds kind of silly, but like but I'll just have a moment where all of a sudden I'm just like laughing and smiling, and it's just because like I am enjoying this so much, and it's just it's a euphoric feeling that like I just keep coming back for. And like I said before, like even though I'm not a professional artist in the idea that I work in some field that requires art, I still feel like this is something that I enjoy doing. I feel like it's something I should be doing, and I just get a lot of joy out of it. And that's one of those driving points for me is just to get to that feeling because like
Mm-hmm.
I feel my best uh, when I'm really enjoying it, you know. Um, but oh man,
Yeah, because it's like it's more than just you just making like funny pictures, lewd pictures, or whatever. It's a opportunity for you to really, like you said before, to just express yourself, to take whatever energy you got within you and make it into something tangible. It
hmm
just gives you just that sense of just relaxation, or that sense of like achievement, depending on whichever it is that you're going for. And once again, like you can't really have that achievement, or that you can't really have that feeling of like success or whatnot if you're just putting too much on yourself ahead of time.
hmm
Because then once again it just becomes work.
yeah, exactly.
hmm So let's see here. Um, so what got you into NSFW specifically?
Picardo,
Ricardo?
Picardo. The people, like all the friends that I made in Picardo, really got me into it. Um, so what happened was is that like when I started on that site, I never really intended on ever starting not safe for work. Not that I hadn't done it,
Uh huh.
um, but I didn't really think of it being like a regular thing for me.
hmm
Um, but being around, my peers there and all the not safe for work artists that I've met through that part, like and seeing how regular they do it, it
hmm
kind of got me wanting to do it as well.
hmm
Um, and what's it? I had a few people actually asking me to do like not safe for work for either like their OCs or like just try to do it for like just some characters of that sort.
hmm
And I honestly enjoyed it. Like I honestly like enjoyed like working on some of the stuff that I was asked to do, and like I really liked the reactions that I got for some of it and that sort. So I was like, you know what, like hey, I could do this too. So I ended up using a character that I made,
uh
which is the character you're drawing right now.
Holly. I
Yep.
literally I am today years old when I found out her name was Holly.
No worries, no worries. But with Holly, like Holly was kind of like she started off kind of like an experiment for that. Like I wanted to draw more not safe work stuff,
Uh-huh.
and I wanted to see how much I can get done. And I needed a character to be able to do that because like I wasn't really focusing on my own characters back then.
Uh-huh.
I was mostly just drawing like other characters, like either through other media or like other people's stuff and that sort. I wasn't
Right,
really
right,
working
right.
on my own. So I ended up like just making Holly like not really for that reason, but she ended up becoming that like
hmm
that for me. So through her, I experimented drawing a lot of like not safe for work stuff.
hmm
Um, and a lot of my friends who've known me since Picardo kind of cherish her for that because like most of the work that I've done of her has been not safe for work.
Right.
But but yeah, no, and that's kind of like how that started. It's just like again, just wanted to kind of follow my peers and uh, what's it? Just really kind of enjoying the kind of like difficulty that like not safe for work gets because like anybody can draw a not safe for work picture, but
Right.
to make it look decent, look right, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
And go ahead. Mhm.
Yeah, because you could like anybody can. I mean, I already put an 18 plus on the title, so it's fine. Anybody can just randomly draw a pair of tits and call them tits, right? So it's like
Right,
anybody can do
right.
that. But it takes that one person that can go that extra mile to make sure that the breasts actually look like I believe the term that my wife uses are sandbags, as opposed to them
Yep,
looking like basketballs, right?
yep.
Uh, because because like for those that indulge in NSFW content, which I can neither confirm nor deny if I do. Those sorts of things like can really affect a viewer if they're into it or if they're not into it. right? Because it has to, as you said, it has to look a certain kind of way, and if it doesn't look that way, like, people aren't going to really be into it as much, if at all.
Right, exactly. So it's just and again, everybody has their different like styles, takes, stuff like that there. But like, yeah, um, oh man, but yeah, for me though, like I said, like I enjoy it. Like I enjoy it because it brought some challenge, and like it made me think about like different poses and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that there to make it, try and make it look right. And I don't draw it as often as I used to,
Mm-hmm.
but I still do it every now and then whenever I get in the mood for it.
Right.
Um, but yeah, that's basically what happened to me, and like, um, I don't know, man. Like it's just I just find it fun. It's not like I don't even look at it like even sexually in a sense.
Right. Right.
Like
Right.
I just look at it more like a challenge, just like something fun to draw, something like that. There,
Yeah,
and
I trust that after you draw for so long, like after a while, it becomes less about the eye candy, and it's more about like, okay, how can I take what I'm doing and make it better, which is generally the
right,
case.
exactly.
Because it's kind of like how like I keep bringing up my wife so much. It's because I love her. But no, one of the things, it's like the character you're drawing, Navaya, right? Uh,
Hmm.
like I've like that drawing that the little reference I gave you there.
Hmm.
Like my wife kind of looked at me and was like, are you okay with drawing Navaya like that?" And I'm just like, she's basically my daughter. It's fine. It's like, because it's like, you can differentiate from something that is meant to serve one purpose versus something that's meant to serve another, right? And
Right.
and so it's just and that's definitely the case for you, where it's like, you know I know the purpose of what I'm drawing is for, but I myself, like, basically it's not meant for me in that sense, because you're
Right.
you're doing it for another reason, but for the audience, they'll enjoy it for whatever reason they wish to enjoy it for. So
Hmm.
let's see here. So how many OCs you got, if you don't mind my asking?
Oh Lord. So as far as it goes, like in practice, and when I say in practice, I mean like just in regular circulation right now.
Uh huh.
Maybe a little over, like maybe a little over a handful or so right now currently.
A little over a
That I
handful.
that I that I well that I draw semi regular, because
Right.
like if I were to go back to like high school, because like back in high school, like I mentioned before, I wanted to be like a comic artist and stuff like that there.
Uh huh.
I created like a bunch of different stories with characters that I used to draw all the time back then.
Mhm.
And I haven't really focused on it much because I never really got into drawing those comics.
Mhm.
But if I were to add those characters with the characters I'm drawing fairly regularly nowadays,
Mhm.
we're talking about a good 100.
Nice.
Um, but like of what I draw nowadays, I only really have a handful. So there's
Mm.
Holly,
Right.
my cowgirl character, Pauna, my goblin character.
Mm.
Um, let's see.
I remember her.
Yep.
Some of the
There's
photos. Yeah.
my one cat girl, Callie, which I haven't really drawn her in a while. And then a couple of the comic characters that have come back since then that I still draw, like Fang, who is the main character for my one comic,
Mhm.
Wildfire, which is a kind of an antagonist character from that story as well.
Mhm.
And then some random OCs that I've drawn over the years. Like I recently redrew a OC design that I simply just call Apple because she was a character design based on an apple.
Oh, okay.
Um, so no real story behind her, but she's a character that I've drawn a few times just because I like the design challenge that I did,
Mhm.
and I always like coming back to visit it every so often to see like how I've improved and how I've grown with it.
Mhm.
In circulation right now, yes, yeah. Um, but yeah,
Nice.
it's
Peer pressure victim.
that's my that's my buddy Flo over there. I've known him for years, and he knows me. Like I tend to go back and forth with stuff too. But but yeah, it's definitely like I definitely have a lot. I just don't draw them as often as I could.
Mm. Please don't mind. Honey! Good grief. Please don't mind my dog.
No, no problem at all. No problem
He's
at
just happy that mommy's home.
all.
But so tell me how so let's go with. Normally, I ask this about the Twitch channel of the guests that I ask, but I guess in
Mhm.
regards, since you're more so the art side than the Twitch side, let me ask you,
Mhm.
how difficult was it to grow your brand over time?
Uh, I mean, as far as it goes, like I feel like my brand is still not really much at the moment.
Uh huh.
But there was as far as it goes, like over the years and that sort, like because again, I'm coming from more of the artist before the Twitch,
Uh huh.
but the artist side of it, there, my name has been kind of tossed around, and my brand has been mixed up there for a while. Like initially, I started off like with the name of the Me By,
Okay.
um, which is kind of a play on my it's kind of a play on my last name. Um, and it started off as a joke from like my first job. Somebody said like, "Oh hey, look!" Like it was like me and my sister. Like, look, it's the Me By. I'm like, oh, it was dumb, but the name kind of stuck for a while there. So I went, and then
Mhm.
after a while, like especially after I was trying to start getting into conventions, I wanted to change the name up. So I went over to calling myself Caballero,
Caballero.
which is
Wait,
Caballero.
Caballero, isn't that gentleman in Spanish?
Kind of, yeah. Well, I took it in the sense of like I took the name in the sense of like more of a Filipino side because I'm fat because I'm half Filipino,
Oh, okay.
and for Filipino it means like nobleman or knight, basically,
Ah,
is what it
okay, I
meant.
see.
Yeah. So I took it as that kind of take, and took my name to be that for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, After I kind of dropped out of to being able to do conventions, though, I started not being able to and not being able to go and that sort of it. I just got tired of using the names, so I just like started trying to just started putting myself out there as my name.
Mm-hmm.
So using KMBus is what I started at, and then as I was going around using that as kind of my premise, people I started meeting started just calling me just simply just Bus. Like, oh hey, it's Bus. It's like, oh, okay. So I shortened it even further. So I made it to now just KMBus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Honestly, I like the ring of it. Like people just call me either KM or Bus. I think it's just a lot simpler, a lot easier just to kind of come up with. And ever since the whole Bus thing kind of started, it's just been kind of driving me to use the Bus theme more.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's why like with why I have what's it again the sus bus icon that I
Right.
made. The if you look at all my sound emotes in my Twitch, it's all about like buses and bus drivers and stuff. I even
Mm-hmm.
have my standard background is that of a bus. I
That's
just
pretty.
I just think people just know me by it now, like a lot of people that have met me just know me by bus or that sort. So I just play up on it, and it's been fun just to kind of reference that in some things.
Yeah, and
And
the branding basically just writes itself at that point.
oh yeah, I mean my is simply get on the bus. Like it's just so like it's been kind of my slang term that I use now whenever I'm like starting a stream, like get on the bus. Um so it's just been a lot of fun. I've been loving the branding around it. I
Mm-hmm.
love the idea of it. I want to grow it more. I want to do more with it. So I don't know. It's just become a thing for me, and and I'm glad that like so far people have enjoyed it. They know me by it now,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that I'm trying to make more of a preference with it, presence with it and that sort.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, so I don't know, man. Like I've just been enjoying it. I've been just really liking this quote unquote arc that I'm going through.
The wheels on the bus definitely go round and round
Oh God,
all
yes, yes they
through the
do.
town. That's great. So do you do commissions?
I do do commissions.
let me ask you. In your okay. First off, before I go into details, how long have you been doing commissions?
I have been doing commissions since about 2005.
2005. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, throughout your time of doing commissions, have you ever had a client that you just had to say no to?
Yes.
Are you at liberty of sharing maybe like the worst one that you've had where that was the case?
Oh, yeah, I can. I can. um, so one like probably the one that I had, and it was just because like I don't really draw it. It's really why I said no to it.
Okay.
But it was at the last convention I went to.
Okay.
It was the Otakon in 2014, back when it was still in Baltimore.
Right.
I was having a rough weekend. Wasn't really selling too well. I was sharing a table with another artist of mine, another artist friend of mine. Her name is Betty Lyle. I forget hers. I
Shout
forget
out
how
to
to pronounce
them.
her last name.
It's been 84
But,
years.
well, yeah, it's been years. It's been years. But no. I wasn't really selling that well at that convention, and I wasn't really getting much work there for it. But like on the last day, I had a guy come up to me and said like, "Hey, I've been looking at a bunch of different artists. I really, really, really like your work, and I want you to do a commission for me." And at first, I was like, "Cool, it's no problem." So like, I asked him like, "So what would you like me to draw?" He specifically wanted me to draw his furry character in a very suggestive pose.
Okay.
And it was a male furry character.
Okay.
Um, and I have drawn some furry characters before.
Okay.
So I don't mind it, but like it was just a combination of everything that he was asking me for with it that just made me feel like it's not really my thing. Like I just couldn't get behind it.
Right.
And and I just told him, like, look, dude, like, like, I appreciate you coming to me asking me this for it, but I'm sorry, but I don't really draw this, like what he was asking for. And he got like, and I feel bad because he got so upset. He was actually in tears about it. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I felt so bad. But at the same time, I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm not a furry artist. Like, I'm not the person that's going to really do him well for what he was asking for. And I don't know why he was coming to me for it, because like everything I had was like the exact opposite of what he was looking for, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why me?
Yeah, and that is something that's a little unfortunate that cuz like there's just a lot of people out there where they find out that you draw and you're halfway decent at it or whatever the case, and then the thing is there's like this weird thought process that because you can draw basically anything and everything, not realizing that there are categories to these things, right? Like in terms of like what you're working on and what I'm working on, I don't think a client should be coming up to us wanting us to draw like a life drawing of a life portrait. Right.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I've actually had people like ask for that sort of thing. I'm like, look, if you ask me to do this, I'm gonna stylize it. That's just how I draw, right?
Yep. And and I've had that plenty of times too. Like one of the ones that like wanted like kind of a life drawing, but like was okay with me doing stylized. Like she asked me to draw a picture of her with her cat, right?
Okay.
And it was from some time ago. But I showed her like, look, like I don't really draw realism, but would you be okay with this? And she was perfectly fine with it. So I mean, so there's always that toss up. Like you never know like what people are going to really be into or that sort. So I try to put it out there, like like, hey, this is what I do. This is how I draw. If you like this, please let me know. And I still get the request every now and then to try to draw something like that's outside of my typical style. But I let people know, like this is what I typically do. This is how I typically draw. Just understand that it may not be what you're looking for, and it's going to be a toss up. You never know if people are going to like it or not. But yeah, like there was God, I'm trying to remember. Yeah. Oh God, I remember there was one that I absolutely had to say no to for the other reason. Because like that one I just declined just because it was like it's not really what I draw.
Right.
And I felt really bad about it. But there was another time where had another guy that I actually had to reject just because of like well the subject matter was kind of questionable,
Uh-huh.
and then two it was also because the guy was very much riding my ass. And
Oh, okay.
I apologize for the language, but
Nah, you're good. You're good. You're
um
good.
okay. But so it was a guy from Picardo
Okay.
who messaged me, and he asked me to draw this one cartoon character. And I won't say who it was because I just. But anyway,
Okay.
but
Go
he
ahead.
wanted me to draw this one female cartoon character in a very sexual way,
Of course.
very very sexual way, and I at the time was admittedly needing money, so I'm like, you know what? Like, I can do it. I mean, I'll make it to where it's not really looking like the character, but still within what he's asking for, stuff like that. So
Gotcha.
it didn't bother me. But what ended up happening is that, like, as I was trying to get to work on it, the dude was messaging me every other hour, pestering me about it left and right, asking me when I'm going to stream it.
Jeez.
So yeah, and then I went to go stream it, right?
Uh-huh.
And when I streamed it, the dude was literally backseat driving me the entire time.
Oh.
Like I would ask him, like, "How's this look?" or that sort, and he'd be like, "Make it bigger, make it smaller, make it thinner, make it." It's just like, oh my god, dude was literally trying to correct me like every other moment,
Yo, I know this
and
isn't. I know this isn't what you said, but for a second, it sounded like you said, "Make it bigger, make it smaller, make it better." Like, make it better? What? What does that even
it
mean?
just honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised with him saying that, to be honest. Oh my god, but like the dude was just like, oh, I like at that moment, like in the stream, like I was like, you know what? Screw this. I told him like, look, I'm refunding your money. I'm giving it back. I am not doing this any further. You can kiss off. And like I immediately blocked him after that. After I gave him his money back and stopped it everything. It was just like I could not handle that guy whatsoever because I did not appreciate his attitude towards it.
Right.
He was constantly, like trying to micromanage me, and I'm like, no, this is not how this works.
Right.
I'm all for collaborating with my commissioners because that's how I look at it. Whenever I take in a commission, I am doing this as a partnership with that person to
Mm-hmm.
produce the image that they're requesting. You know,
Right.
it's exactly how I look at commissions, and I am all for sharing the process, showing the steps, everything else, right,
Mm-hmm.
and taking in their feedback and making adjustments based on it. But I will not sit here and have somebody backseat me every 5 minutes telling me I'm doing something wrong and need to adjust it just to fit their needs for something that I'm not even enjoying. You
Right.
know? So I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not.
Yeah, because like, it's like, I mean, cause see, like, cause that right there is a
Hmm.
very fine example of when a person doesn't understand what all goes into the process of working on something like that, right?
Exactly.
Like, freaking, like, it's a person like, tell me you're a bona fide consumer without telling me you're a bona fide consumer.
Right.
And it's like, and I know that's not something that you can expect from everybody because some people are just consumers and that's all there is to it. But it's
Hmm.
like, but then you have those select few, like this person you just spoke of just now, where it's
Hmm.
like, it gets to the point to where, like, you know, they're so caught up in wanting you to do something for them that they can't just, let them cook.
Right.
Let them freaking
Exactly.
cook. Stop. Look, KMBus. How do you pronounce it? KMBus or is it KMBus?
Just a KMBus. It's like that's how it looks.
Okay, well, I'll do it like this. Bus here, he is a chef. He is in the kitchen. He has the soup. He has the spices. He has all the meats and potatoes and all that stuff. He is currently stirring right now. And here you are with a big bucket of kerosene and you're trying to dump it into whatever it is he's making. Don't do that. Don't do that. Lord.
I I'll tell you, man, it happens. It happens.
It
But
does. It does.
but yeah, as far as it goes for me though, it just varies really. Like when it comes down to it, like I've had good positive experiences, I've had some bad experiences and
Uh-huh.
stuff like that. It just you just go with the flow. But like I said, like for me, when it comes to commission work,
Uh-huh.
again, I look at it as a partnership between the two.
Mhm.
And I try to share everything that I can. Like I'm very open to like stuff. I'll let people know like how it's going, stuff like that. There,
Mhm.
um, because again, I look at it as simply that. It is a partnership between you and them. And even though I'm the one that's doing the work, I'm still trying to capture their image.
Mhm.
Like of what they're perceiving. Um, and just trying my best to try and just make that happen for them.
Mhm.
Alright.
Yeah, and definitely like it's very important. Like, folks gotta freaking respect your boundaries, man. Like, that's blatantly just disrespecting your boundaries. There, it's like, yo, just chill, right?
Yeah.
I
I
just
think that
kind I just need you to chill.
exactly. I actually know a couple friends who still work with that person,
Uh huh.
and I'm just like, how can you work with that person the way that they are? Because I told him about like my experience, like how he was like drilling me, and that sort of like, oh yeah, he's like that. I'm like, well, what kind of saintly patience do you have?
Look, the only conclusion you could probably establish there is that he probably just pays well, and that's probably it.
That's the only thing I could assume. But even then, like for me, like I don't remember the payment being that big.
Right.
So it's like whatever,
Or
but
yeah,
more power to him,
or it could even just be is like, the money is not worth the amount of headache you're inducing on me right now.
right?
Like, I will survive. I will find a way you can keep your notes, and I will go about my business.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So, do you have in recent memory, do you have like a favorite commission that you've
Uh,
done?
yeah, actually, I can let me pull it up here real quick.
Okay.
I'll share on Discord so you can share it here. But
All right, no problem.
let me grab that real quick here.
And then when I
It's one that I'll say that it's one that I'm most proud of,
mhm.
and it's because I put so much work into it. Um, Let me grab it. And this was done about well, I want to say it was done like what almost 3 years ago now, actually, I think. But I don't know if Discord's gonna like that or not. There we go.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, it's a little big. I apologize.
No, take your time. It's fine. These
But
things.
while it's loading, I'll tell you about it.
Okay.
So the commission was actually done by a loyal commissioner of mine named Kajiran.
Uh huh.
He's been with me ever since this one.
Okay.
Because I did a couple before it, but like this one was the biggest one I had ever done for
Wow.
him.
Holy moly. That is a lot. That
Yeah,
is a lot. That looks so good.
thank you. So the thing that I'm most proud about this picture right here is that everything in it, except for maybe the fire,
Mhm.
is completely drawn.
Mhm.
So like the whole background was drawn in and inked.
Mhm.
Which is something that I don't normally do a lot. Like normally when I do my backgrounds, I'll just paint them in.
Right.
But yeah, I ended up drawing out the whole thing, inked it in,
Uh huh.
and then colored it myself there. And it took about a month.
It looks
Not
like it took about a month. That I'm telling you, man. Like, just the blades of grass alone. I'm just sitting here cringing. Like, oh my god.
I'll see if let me see if I have. I think I still have the black and whites here for it. But let me see if I can find that real quick. Might have to bring it up on screen real quick on my side, but
Yeah, that looked like it took an eternity.
it was a lot. But like I just had so much fun working on it. It was daunting,
Right.
But like I was just so proud of it, like every step of the way.
Yeah,
Uh,
and that's the best feeling ever when you actually have a project you're working on, and it
mhm,
just seems like it might be just a little bit outside of your weight class, but then when you
mhm.
finally get it started and you start having those like eureka moments as you work on it, and then all of a sudden you're just having so much fun working on it, like that is like the best feeling ever.
Here we go. Just found a picture with all the inks.
All right, I'll make that bigger. Okay, and this is just the inks, right?
Yeah, this is the inks.
Truth be told, this could be in a daggone coloring book. This could straight up just be in a coloring book, like
Thank you.
straight on. The lines look really good, right? And just because there's just so much going on, like I could see like taking this image, like printing it out, and just have my son with like a crayon just go crazy.
Hmm.
This is really good, bro.
Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, it's one of the it is the longest pick I've ever worked on, probably the most detailed pick I've ever worked on.
Hmm.
But it is definitely the one that I'm most proud of.
And you should be proud of that. That's a lot. I'm literally just lost for words because I'm just once again the blades of grass. The blades of
Hmm.
grass is probably what gets me the most. I'm like, oh my good lord, I'd be pulling my hair out. Like, oh, but it must be done for the greater good.
And that's pretty much how it was for me. Like when I was going through it, I just kept trying to push myself because like the thing about like with digital art versus like natural media art,
Uh huh.
right? Is that like natural media I tend to draw like that a lot. Where
Hmm.
I'll just go into something and just put in a lot of detail to it because like I'm not even thinking. I'm just like just going into it, just trying to put in as much as I can. And I don't really do that much with digital media.
Uh huh.
Um, so at the time I was doing that, I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna try. And it was daunting, especially when I got to the point where I was rendering everything and doing all the coloring and just stuff like that there. But like, I just wanted to see if I could try to tap into my former self with like my natural drawings, my natural media, and put that into the digital aspect. And you know, I've done it a few times since then.
Hmm.
I don't do it all that often, but like I'm very, very proud that I'm able to show that, in like in more of my recent work and stuff,
Yeah.
Um, because I
Because
feel like that's something that I feel like that's something that like I don't really do enough nowadays, like I used to back then.
do you feel that maybe until further notice, that's probably your magma opus right now?
Essentially, I do consider it as such because like again like the direction since then that I've taken with my style is that I'm trying to go more simplistic.
Hmm.
Because I just want to be able to produce more images and like get more stuff out there and just get faster with my drawing. Um,
Yeah, don't
so I
we
don't.
all?
Yeah, I mean, you can even see like tonight. I'm still taking my time a little bit tonight.
Right, right, right. I,
Um,
I'm not gonna. I'm gonna be real with you. I was tempted to try to start my side of things a little bit early because 9 times out of
mhm.
10, the art guests that I've had can draw way faster than I do. But I'm kind of glad I didn't do that now because it's like you actually take your time, so I don't feel like I'm just being left in the dust.
Oh, no worries, no worries. I mean, honestly, I have to apologize myself just because I am going a little bit slower tonight.
No, no, you're fine.
Um,
I'm really
appreciate
liking
that.
how it's coming out right now. What do you think, dear?
Thank you.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. My wife approves of your rendition of Navaya at the moment.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, so let's see here. What else we got going on here? So tell me, in regards to we'll just say your art at this point, um
Hmm.
do you feel that there's any areas that could use some improvement, like specific ones, perhaps?
One thing that I'm always trying to improve on, and I want to try and practice more, is really expressions, poses, and perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like I'm okay on all three.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I could go better.
Right.
And that's something that like I really want to try and practice on more. My problem is that because this is not my career, and I have a full-fledged family at home, that like again I don't get the chance to really practice as much as I would like to.
Mm-hmm.
Because like especially with my job, my job is very stressful.
Uh-huh.
So when I get home, I try to have the energy to do what I can, but like usually it's like on most nights it's usually come home, eat dinner, hang out with my son a bit before he goes to bed,
Right.
tend to my fiance before she goes to bed,
Right.
and then I'm left there with like maybe an hour or two before I go to bed.
Right.
And it's just like, what do I do? Do I just go to bed, or do I just try to do some drawing, or like pass out? Like
Yeah, I understand entirely. It can definitely be that way sometimes.
Yep.
Also, if you got too much you have to do, right? And then you have to try to
exactly.
figure out your time management.
Yep. So that's usually my problem, is like my time management is pretty bad, so I don't really practice it as much as I would like to.
Uh-huh.
Like most of the time that I draw and work and stuff usually happens like on days that I'm off. Like today, for example, I'm off from work today.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't really get much done earlier in the day just because I was just worn out. So I've been mostly resting and that sort until we came on today.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so like, and it kind of goes with my streams too. Like generally, I'll stream like either later at night when everybody's asleep, or do it while he's at school or something like that. There. Which I was thinking about getting on earlier today to just get some work done, but at the same time, like my son had it snowed outside, so he had to stay home from school, and
Right.
had some schoolwork that he had to do this morning, like over the internet. So it's just like couldn't really get much done.
Right.
So ended up just resting today.
Yeah, and I can understand that. Like just you want one of the things that like I try to do in regards to that is like if your time is kind of, or rather not kind of, when your time is extremely limited, right, and your energy level is really low, try to find something like really, really simple that you can draw in like 5 minutes. Right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like for example, real quick, I'm gonna save this and then I'm just gonna go to make a layer that I can just get rid of. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to draw flowers.
Okay.
So what I do is I have a signature flower that I always draw all the time, right? Sometimes it looks really good, sometimes it looks like poop, but in any case, deselect. So what I do is I'll like if I just don't have the energy or whatever the case, but I feel like I need to draw something, I'll just go ahead and I'll just kind of do like this and do like this, right, and then just kind of come around like that. Put a pretty little leaf here. Pretty little leaf there. Put some little bulbs here, bulbs there. Boom, done. Flower. Just flower. Right.
Nice.
Because like I only figured this out when I was working at my job, and what I would do is whenever somebody relieved me from like the register or whatever the case, or if I had to step away from the register to go do something else, but my supervisor was like, no, you have to open your register back up, so don't shut down. I will write my name on a slip of paper and then I'll draw the flower on it and I'll put it on the register and then I'll go do whatever it is I have to do. And I feel like that kind of helped me in the long run, because at the very least it was like it might not have been what I wanted to draw, but I drew something. Right.
Right.
And it it helps keep that that rhythm going, even if it's not at the pace that you want.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Like the hard part for me with my job is that it's always busy, and it's hard to really be able to focus on a drawing.
Right.
Because like what I do is I do chat support for an ISP.
Okay.
So I'm constantly having to type on a computer, and the way it has it set up is that like I don't help just one customer at a time. I help two at a time.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's always this balancing act between trying to keep the attention of both customers while giving them advice and helping them with their issues. So a lot of the focus at my job is pretty stressful because like it goes back and forth between this, and there are some lull moments that can take place where there's really not much going on. But at the same time, like it's one of those things where if I were to go out and grab a piece of paper and start just sketching something, more than likely you're going to get somebody popping up, you know. So my times at work are almost nil. Like I cannot really do much at work because of how busy it gets.
Right.
But I do try to do things in the morning. Like because like my work schedule typically I work from about like 11:30 in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. Awkward schedule because like yeah like I mentioned before, especially with that, I get home and it's pretty much I'm done for the night.
Right. I mean, I have a similar schedule, like 10 to 6:30. So I feel you. I understand.
But yeah, so I try to do what I can in the morning when I can. And I was for a while there, especially when I was still working from home, because I was working from home for a few months, and at that time I could dedicate more time to doing more stuff, was it more comfortably without having to worry about travel time or that sort. So I was getting more stuff done during that, but now because I'm having to go back to the center and work there, I don't really have a whole lot of time because now I have to prep for work, the travel time, stuff like that. So weekdays for me are always a little bit of a toss up about like when I can get stuff done. But like days like this, technically this is my Saturday, tomorrow's my Sunday. I'll be able to get more stuff then done. It just depends on the home situation. Like you said, like today was kind of not really much going on, but my son was home, so had to help him out. And our living space is not that big, so I mean, like right now I'm actually in my living room right now with my computer set up.
What a coincidence.
So if you can imagine. Oh, gotcha. But yeah, for me though, like it's rough because like when because like again since it is the living room, people want to come out here, watch the TV, eat dinner out here, eat meals or whatever, so it's like having that separation is kind of tough too, and that takes away from the time as well.
Right.
So yeah. But hopefully at some point there will be some more separation in that part because like right now, trying to get a house. So hoping that happens this year. Just so I can get some more space because like if I can get some more privacy, then I know I'll get more work done.
I hear you. Yeah, just so you know though, like the one thing I will say about home buying, just make sure your real estate agent isn't a piece of trash.
Oh yeah,
because they can make it complete and unbearably unnecessarily complicated.
Oh yeah.
So make sure your realtor has your best interests in mind because you don't want to deal with the nonsense. It's dumb.
Oh no, I completely get it. Like for me right now, my struggle is really more with my bank.
Right.
Because like I got pre-approved for a loan. But the problem is that like my bank has it set up to where the loan officer is not in office. You have to call them. And whenever I tried to talk to him last, dude is not replying back to any phone calls, any emails. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to go back into a branch again to get another pre-approval. And it's just ridiculous, the back and forth that I've had.
That sounds absolutely awful.
Yeah, it's kind of trash. I mean, I love my bank, but like at the same time, it's made me kind of consider like maybe I should leave. But
Right.
it is what it is. I'm gonna try and get done what I can this year. But oh man, it's been kind of discouraging.
Oh, good. That's a pretty decent silhouette there. Quite proud of myself.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, look at that silhouette. Look at that silhouette. That's a nice looking silhouette, don't you think?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Let's see here. Um, all right, let's talk a little bit more about Holly here.
Sure.
So I know you came up with Holly as like your basically your experimental character for when you started doing your NSFW work. Um,
hmm
what inspired her design?
Oh, easy. So,
Oh, my man said easy. All right, I'm ready.
so at when I created her, it was the year of the ox. And it was around Chinese New Year that year.
hmm
And I have a friend of mine.
Uh huh.
He goes by Fakusa,
Uh huh.
who has a female cowgirl character of his.
Uh huh.
And I like when I first met him, it kind of maybe reminded me of how much I kind of like that aesthetic of like the cowgirl thing.
hmm
Um, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a cowgirl myself as well. So, in celebration of the whole year of the ox thing.
Uh huh.
So, and that's what came up is that like I started drawing this character that had some like cowgirl like influences, not only in her design but also like with her outfit too at the time and that sort.
Uh
I
huh.
was literally looking at like pictures of people with like other women with cowgirl like outfits that sort or cowgirl inspired outfits like cowboy stuff.
Uh huh.
And I came up with her from that. And that's how it kind of started. I can actually share with you the original pic that I drew. Let
Yeah,
me
please do.
yeah, let me bring that up here.
Please do, sir. Please do.
Certainly. Let me bring that up here. Very first one. Here it goes. This is the very first picture I drew of her.
All right.
Little bit spicy, but
It's fine. Like I said, I put the Oh, okay. Okay. And the cool thing is between this and some of the stuff you've shown already, we can see how your work has evolved over time.
Mhm.
Okay,
At
okay.
the,
Got the cowbell, got the Jezebel crop top thing.
mhm.
Um
Yep.
and I see you didn't go whole hog with the white with black spots motif
Mhm.
that I've seen most cow related characters tend to go with. So
Yeah. I know that like most that I've seen usually have just like the Kalkini type stuff, and not that I haven't drawn her with it, I have.
right, of
Um,
course.
but I at the time I was really just trying to focus on the idea of a character with like again like a cowgirl like outfit and stuff, and I wanted to be different from what I saw most were drawing. Um, but I still like the black and white though because I like that contrast, especially with the hair.
hmm
Um, and that's kind of where that stemmed from. But yeah. So that's how I came up with Holly.
Okay. Does she have like a backstory or anything, or is she literally just your I guess your mascot character?
In a sense, she's more of my mascot, but like in the sense of a somewhat story.
Hmm.
Um, because I actually on this one site that I go to, it's a site called Art Fight.
I've heard
Um,
about that.
they, yep, Art Fight. For those who don't know, is a yearly event that takes place where people will join up one of two teams, and it's all artists. But people will join up with one or two teams. They'll post up their OCs on there,
Hmm
and then what you do is that during the event, which takes place in July, you draw OCs of other people from the other team to get points for your team.
Mm-hmm.
It's meant to be a challenge to where to see like how much work you can get done and like how much variety you can draw and
Mm-hmm.
stuff during the month. Um, but it's kind of cool because it inspires you to like to draw more and do more and like it puts this whole theme of like you fighting somebody, like just the whole like to try and like try and challenge you more. Love it for
And
it.
I imagine it also
Um,
gives you the opportunity to try to flex your creativity a bit and
oh yeah.
see if you can expand on your style more.
Exactly. Like I know for me, like it helped me with speed, even though I'm not really displaying that much that well tonight.
Right, it's fair. You're fine.
um, it did help me a lot with speed though, like when I was doing the event and afterwards. But as far as it goes though, the reason why I bring that up is that when you put up your OCs, you can put up like bios for them. And the premise one that I came up with Ollie was that basically she was just your average like farmer girl type stuff growing up in the country,
Uh-huh.
that sort of thing. But she wanted to be more than that, wanted to go see the world and that sort. So when she became of age, she moved into the city, started getting into like modeling and that sort, and now she's kind of like a kind of like a the social media like as a content creator that goes around showing her
I believe
exploits.
the term you're looking for is a influencer.
Influencer, yeah, there you go, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So she's kind of like an influencer going around the world, doing her modeling, blogging her adventures, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I just kind of picture her from that point.
Oh, okay.
So it also gives me the excuse to draw her however I want and whenever I want. So there we go.
Nice. And that, ladies and germs, is the most important lesson of them all.
But yeah, like initially Holly really had no other story really, but that's what it kind of evolved into.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just go with that as her default. It's basically what it is.
Mm-hmm. So what was the process like as you were? I mean, I'm pretty sure you've probably come up with some other outfits and stuff for her by this point, but like, how was the process of getting her to, well, essentially this, right?
Mm-hmm.
How was the process like leading up to that?
Um, so for that part there, like I wanted to draw, I wanted to draw Holly in something else really, because like at the time, I hadn't really drawn her in much else.
Uh huh.
So I was just looking for some new outfit to put her in, and then I was just looking. I remember I was looking around a couple different websites, and I was also looking like on Pinterest as well, and
Uh
I
huh.
saw an outfit similar to what you're seeing here.
Right.
Um, and it had some different things to it, but I was like, you know what? I really like the look of it, so I just decided to go ahead and try and draw Holly with it, and ended up just really, really liking it. So this has become her quote unquote default outfit
Okay.
now at this point. Um, and yeah, I just like I've recently drew the one picture of her with it on, but I could show you the initial one that I did.
Uh huh.
Let me get that one
Bring it
for
on. Bring it on. That's why we're here.
you. Certainly, let me get that for you. But yeah, the first one I did like, with this outfit. Let me see here. Where is it at? Oh, there it is. Okay, I'll send the smaller one. There we go. There we go.
All right, I'm a coming. Let me just save real quick. Oh, also don't forget to save, bro.
Oh yeah, true. Let's save that.
Okay, so yeah, so this is where we got to this one.
Mm-hmm. So that's
Yeah,
the first time I drew her in this outfit. Yeah.
and I like it too because once again you're moving away from the proverbial white with black spots, and
Mm-hmm.
you're giving her more of a look that she can call her own. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and like and I do like the simple color palette. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, I know with some artists that I've seen, um, and I understand art is subjective and all that other good stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times, and I actually was guilty of this once upon a time, but they tend to do too many colors. There's
Oh
just too
yeah.
many colors. It's like you realize if you just had like maybe 4 or 5 colors and just revolved around those, this thing would have been like 1,000 times better. But yeah,
Yep.
but like I'm always gonna be a fan of, a simpler color palette to like bring everything together. So yeah,
Hmm.
that looks really good, brother.
Thank you, thank you.
Hmm.
So yeah, so like as far as it goes with Holly, like I said before, like I just wanted something a little bit more, just a little bit more unique, you
Uh-huh.
know. And that's why I like started going with that there, and it kind of fit with the narrative too that I was going for, with like being an influencer and
Hmm.
doing modeling and that sort. I just wanted something kind of different than that sort. But like I've drawn her in like a more simpler clothing,
Hmm.
um, just like what's it? Like what you saw before with the initial design and that sort.
Hmm.
But
Let's look this way.
but yeah.
Hmm. So let's see. So when you're streaming, you are exclusively doing art, or do you do other things on your streams?
I primarily do art,
Uh
but
huh.
I'm starting to try and bring back like a little bit of gaming as
Hmm.
well. Just because again, like not everyone I know is an artist too, and I would love to do more collabs like what we're doing tonight.
Hmm.
Um, and I started bringing in some gaming. So I don't really play a whole lot of games, though I do have quite a few, but I'm not like as dedicated gamer to like new games like as some people are.
Right, right, right. I understand.
um,
They can be very
but
expensive, so.
exactly, and that's part of it. So one game that I've been playing a lot of recently is the finals.
Yeah, I've heard
Um,
about that game actually.
yep. For those that don't know, it's an FPS arena game, kind of in the theme of a game show.
FPS
It's
stands
an
for first
extraction
person
game. So
shooter.
like basically in each of the matches you
Feeling some.
play, you have to get like these cash boxes or collect cash and then deposit them and then protect the deposit point. Um, and it's been a lot of fun. Like I don't really play much PvP when it comes to FPS games.
Hmm.
I'm a big time Destiny 2 player. I've been playing since Alpha on that game.
Hmm.
And so I'm very much into like the whole idea of like PvE type of content and stuff, rather than PvP.
Hmm.
But the finals though, I just have so much fun with it because it's so random, it's so chaotic. Um, it's there's so much things that could happen in every single match that's just so vastly different from each other, and it's very fast paced, and I
I've
really really like it.
I've been told that the finals has a very huge Smash TV feel to it.
Yes, yes. So, so the idea of it is that when you're playing the game, you're playing as a person playing within a game.
Right.
So, so basically, like as you select your character and make your choices and that sort, you get entered into an arena that's actually like what feels like a VR game itself, right?
Hmm.
And as you go around, there's like different items that can pop up for you that you can use within the arenas themselves. There's like different effects that can happen, like when people get killed or so. So, for
Hmm.
example, when you shoot somebody and they die, they blow up in a huge explosion of coins that just
Hmm.
scatter all over the place.
Kind of like
And
Scott
what's
Pilgrim,
left
right?
Yep. Right. And then what's left of them is like a little statue, like what looks like something like from a game board, just kind
Mm.
of standing there. And of course you can revive them and that stuff, or you can watch them revive back and that sort of thing. But
Hmm.
like it's like that basically. It's like over the top. They've got announcers talking the entire time that you're playing, both as narrators for the match, and then also like for like in the arena itself. Like they have like one narrator in the arena that will like announce whenever a whole team gets wiped out or that sort, and it
Hmm.
just echoes throughout the arena. um, it's really really cool, and then one of the coolest things about it is that almost the entire environment is completely combustible. Like you can break down everything.
Oh,
So
okay.
as
I
you're
didn't know it had that kind of mechanic, kind of like
oh
Red Faction.
Oh yes, yes it does. So for example, like they have this one map that's based off Monte Carlo or so, right?
Uh huh.
And it's a bunch of like different like houses and there's one big church in one area and stuff
Hmm.
like that there and a mansion on the other on one side. And literally as you're going through it, you can shoot off like rockets and like set off bombs and that sort, and buildings will come colliding down, breaking down, stuff like that. There, they have this one class called the heavy because they have three classes. They're based on just their weights. So they have a heavy, medium, and a light.
Right.
The heavy actually has an ability where they'll scream and they'll start charging with their hands crossed in front of their face, and they'll start breaking through walls, just screaming and just running.
Jesus.
And you could literally knock down a building doing it. It's hilarious, but it creates so much chaos, and it's just so fun because like they'll literally have a point, like for example, they'll have one of their cash boxes, like one of the vaults, and not vaults, but one of their deposit boxes, in like an attic in one building, right? And you can literally either come in from like the attic, go up the stairs from the bottom, or you can start bringing down the building and knocking out the ceilings to have the cash box come flying down to where it like comes down to the ground, and you can start working on it from there, and then have like the whole building like falling on top of it.
Jesus.
It is so fun. It is so fun. So I've done only 2 streams of it so far. Test one just to see if I can do it with the layouts and stuff, because I'm still trying to fix all my layouts and like all my transitions and everything. I've been admittedly very lazy with it.
And look, man,
but
it'd be like that sometimes.
it do. But yeah, so I did it as a kind of trial one, and then I went on with a friend, and we were playing together for one night and stuff. And I hope to do more stuff like that and play more variety games. I just don't know when and where, and I'm just kind of more or less just kind of waiting to see like if anybody would invite me into something, so that way I can join them with it. But for myself, I do plan to try and do some more too every now and then. Like I started coming up with the idea that maybe I would do like one game stream and one art stream a week. Hasn't really panned out just yet, but we're getting there.
Yeah, so sometimes these things, just like with art, it just takes time. It takes time. You just wait for that opportunity to kind of manifest itself.
Yep.
Okay, let's see here. So did you mention I'm trying to make sure if I recall correctly. You mentioned earlier that you had a comic book you were working on, or did I hear you right?
No, you heard me right. It was kind of like a comic idea, honestly. Because I never really manifested it into an actual comic. Like, for me back during that time, because I was back around high school, I was around a bunch of different artists at the time, which I was excuse me.
I'm not gonna lie, that's so wonderful that you had just a bunch of artists that you were around during high school.
Honestly, I was blessed for that. So back then, I was going to a vocational high school back in New Jersey when I lived in Jersey, and I was taking up electronics, which is what led me into my current job. But I right next door, we actually shared the same bathroom, but right next door was the graphic design team and like graphic arts and stuff, and even before I got into that high school, I wanted to get into art, but I didn't know that they had a class like that there. And it's one of my biggest regrets that I never joined. But again, I don't mind it because I learned what I did, and it's helping me where I am. But yeah, I met a bunch of people over there. And all great people, so many great people actually that I met from that class. And we used to hang out during lunch, like hang out at lunch and after school and stuff, just chilling, hanging out, talking about stuff. And one of the coolest things about that group was that there was a few of them who had their own like comic book ideas and stuff, like these stories and that sort. And it just influenced me so much because it was just something that I just felt like it was so incredible to be around such creative people that were thinking these things. Because like at the time, I had only been drawing what I saw. Like I was still in my copy phase, just that sort. I didn't really have my own characters yet. And when in that freshman year, I met my one friend. He's on here too. He goes by the name of Mystic Skills. he was the first person to show me like their own work, like somebody doing their own thing,
Right.
and that completely blew me. Um, but people like him and some of my other friends that I made, were constantly telling me about these characters that they were coming up with, these stories that they had. They
Mhm.
were drawing out comic panels and these little comics and stuff and everything, and like trying to make books out of them. I'm like, holy, um, it just blew me away. My my one friend, Lester, he was my best friend in high school. And he did this one thing where I remember one night I was staying at his house. He literally took this trance CD, right? Nothing but trance music, just kind of just plays progressively, right?
Uh-huh.
He sat me down, played the CD, and throughout the entirety of the whole thing, narrated to me this idea of a story with scenes and like dialogue and like everything all set to the music
Oh
with
wow.
every like it was the most amazing thing I've ever experienced.
That
And I mean
sounds insane.
it was so insane because I mean like at the time like my mind was just blowing with all the images I was just imagining like just from what he was telling me,
Uh-huh.
and just showing me all the characters that he drew for it and everything, and I'm just like, oh my god. So that helped me to try and make my own characters and do my own story.
Mhm.
So the story that I came up with, and it originally started off as a joke.
Uh-huh.
It was a play of, it was kind of a play of a mix of the Karate Kid
Uh-huh.
and Enter the Dragon.
Okay, I mean that seems like a pretty solid premise to kind of work with.
It was like, and it goes back to that whole idea of like wanting to mix like oh, excuse me, wanted to mix like anime with comics, right?
Mhm.
Because like I was all about that like that crossover like theme, and that's how I was kind of working it. The first iteration of that was just a joke, like
Mhm.
literally just a joke, and it was meant to be a joke. The character was like it actually goes by the name of Daniel,
Okay.
and he was being trained by he was being trained by a chicken.
By a chicken?
By a chicken, yes.
Sweet. So let me guess, and small shout out to Follow the Kaiser. Was this chicken named General So?
No, no, but that would have been great.
Darn. Okay.
But it evolved from there. It evolved from there. Like I actually started to make it more serious,
Uh-huh.
and the whole kind of joke about a chicken and I had a Miyagi like character there too, who was just like very like mean and very like very stern. And I took all those characters and I made something a little bit more serious about it. So I made it
Uh-huh.
to where Daniel became more of like an actual like more of an actual like character who had a semi-tragic background, who was forced into a situation where he had to take on this phoenix-like spirit that
Uh-huh.
was not aware of. Kind of had a story similar to like that of like Spider-Man, more or less, where basically he was tossed into a situation where he was bestowed power where he was not meant to have it,
Right.
and from there he met up with people that were involved with this, that sort of kind of took him in and started trying to teach him how to use his power, because now he's stuck with it,
Right.
and stuck with this responsibility that he was not intended to deal with before.
Mhm.
And through that, it was kind of this whole Spider-Man Batman slash thing, where basically he's kind of like this ninja like character with these kind of like abilities where he can summon like or use his energy to create like blades or so, like kind of throwing knives or shurikens or that sort, or like a sword. Um, and he moves around like a ninja too.
Mhm.
Um, and then he goes against other what would be other characters that are kind of like mutants from X-Men or that sort, or
Mhm.
like other villains from like Spider-Man or stuff like that there, where it's these super powered people that I called Eves.
Uh-huh.
Eves was an expression that I derived from the words evolutionary victims is what I called them.
Mhm.
Um, and it kind of became like him unintentionally becoming a superhero, because he's like like learning to be learning to deal with these powers while also trying to protect the city that he's in, that's dealing with these Eves that are like, that are harming humanity and that sort of society there and that sort of thing.
Right.
And its story's just kind of built up from there. Like I just kind of made like a different little overarching arcs where it basically had him started off like humble beginnings like that, where he's just learning about these powers, the mysterious clan behind them, that sort, and then dealing with all these weird things going on in the city they lived in.
Mm-hmm.
And then it evolved into like other stories where it talked more, like delved more into like the background of the clan that he was part of, and then also the origins of where his powers came from and stuff like that there.
Mm-hmm.
And it became it's this whole huge thing. um and I never really made it into a comic, only because at the time I didn't feel confident enough that I could really draw it.
Mm-hmm.
And then also too, the dialogue is something that like I was fearful of, because like I can come up with the scenes and the chain of events and how the actions play out and that sort, but I could never come up with the right dialogue, and I've always felt like the dialogue would be too cheesy if I tried to write it out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was kind of like, yeah, maybe not, and I did have some opportunities kind of delve more into it or get more into it, but I just always kind of chickened out of it just because I was lacking confidence back then.
Confidence is such a pain in someone's tail. I
Oh,
swear,
yeah.
I'm telling you, man, we could get so much done if we just had more confidence in our abilities.
Oh, definitely. So like one of the opportunities that I missed out on,
Mm-hmm.
and it was actually based from my sister. My sister knew a friend of a friend type thing. There was this, I forget his name, but there was this one comic artist. He was working for a smaller studio,
Mm-hmm.
and he was looking for somebody to help him, like be like more or less like an apprentice, like help him clean up like panels and stuff like that there,
Mm-hmm.
and do some of the work for him and that sort, to kind of help catch up.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister introduced me to him, and guy was hey, your sister told me that you're an artist, and I'm like, I was like dumbfounded. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not professional like you, because like his work was leagues beyond anything I could do back then.
Right.
And I just lacked so much confidence. I chickened out right in front of him. I was like, dude, I'm sorry, I can't.
Oh.
I like to draw, but I don't think I could do what you do. And I backed out. It's something I still regret, but I don't, I'm not mad at myself, but like it's just something that I could have gotten a bit further along than I did, at the time if I had done it. I know that it would have been definitely beneficial, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it does revolve around timing and what your mindset is, which still coincides with the timing. And it's like you can have like literally the perfect opportunity right in front of you, but if you're not at that right headspace, or if your confidence is just on shaky ground, like at that point, the best you can do is just accept the fact that it just wasn't meant to be at the time because you just weren't ready.
Yeah, yeah, and that's how I kind of look at it now at this point. But for the longest, that was something that was just kind of just drilling me to the ground there, because I was just thinking, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
what would have happened,
And the thing is, and then like the important thing is, when it comes to those sorts of things, is like, you don't forget about it, because by forgetting about it, you forget the lesson that was learned from it, so that way you can grow as a person, which basically leads into what I'm trying to say. You learn from that experience, and you become stronger as a result, right?
Right.
Because obviously, if such an opportunity probably were to show up right now, you would probably be more inclined to probably try to pursue it. I mean, granted, I understand you've got some other responsibilities that are in place now, but like, all things considered, you'd be in a much better position than when you were back then.
True. So I mean, like, as far as it goes for me, the only reason why I wouldn't pursue it now is because the fact that I need the job that I have.
Right.
I couldn't leave it to do something else here for it, and so it would have to pay as much as I get, and the benefits for it would have to be just as good, which
Right.
in this field, definitely not happening.
Yeah, and I understand, like, you know, because we're both older guys. Like, we
Mhm.
are in that position where it's like opportunities popping up like that are a little bit tougher to act upon because of
Right.
responsibilities that are in place. Um, though, though, you never know. You never know.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
it might seem overwhelming or just not something that can be done at first, but
Hmm.
depending on the timing and circumstances, it might be the perfect storm, and you might actually be able to
Hmm.
do it.
Right.
You know, it's just I think the main thing, the most important thing, is that you have that confidence now.
Hmm.
You know what you're capable of in your abilities. You believe in your abilities, and you know to the point to where if someone were to like want you to be on their team to help out with a project and you have the flexibility to do so, you'll do it.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about your work like not being up to snuff or being shoddy or any of that other stuff cuz you've done the time. You've earned your stripes, right? And you
Hmm.
know that your stuff it's the truth. Your stuff is the truth.
Right. Exactly.
Mhm.
Oh man, it's kind of like right now, as far as it goes for me here, I want to do more collaborative work, like not just with just like streaming, but like also with art as well.
Mhm.
Um,
Like, did
like
you
one of
have
the things
anything
I'm
like in mind in particular? I mean, what like before I go any further, like I do appreciate you for making it through for this month's meetup episode. But
oh,
like, was there
mhm.
anything outside of this that you had in mind in terms of collaborations?
So when it comes to the art side of it, like one of the things that I used to like to do, and I don't get to do it that often,
Mm-hmm.
is to work with an artist on a single picture or multiple pictures or something like that. There,
Uh huh.
where either like we're helping each other out by working towards like maybe doing artwork for something we're trying to promote,
Uh
or
huh.
doing like a collaborative picture where like for example like if I were to do the line work, you would do the inking and then coloring or something like that there,
Uh huh.
or we would take like a picture and then like somebody would draw one half of the picture, or somebody else would draw the other half of the picture, and then try to mesh it together to make it look like one complete picture.
Uh huh.
You know, stuff like that. There, like it's like I feel like those are like really cool challenges that I like to do,
Mm-hmm.
and then also it's just stuff that I like to just do in general because like I feel like especially when it comes to the ones where you're finishing the work for somebody, like
Uh
if
huh.
somebody draws it and then you do the rest. Like I think it's a good way to kind of help learn off each other's styles and that sort, and like
Mm-hmm.
get some more perspective on it, stuff like that. It's something that I like to do. I used to do quite a bit back in the
Mm-hmm.
day, and I haven't really done that with any other artist in a while. And that's something that like I'm like trying to see if I can do like that. Like I mentioned before, like trying to help each other by promoting each other, doing artwork for each other, stuff like that. Um, just
Sound,
cool
so,
things like that there.
Sounds like you want to work on like a major project with a team. That's what it
Kind
sounds like.
of, kind of. Like, um, it's part of why, like, for me, like, right now, like, one of the projects that I want to work on,
Mm-hmm.
um, am I putting this on the wrong layer? I am. um,
Layers are evil.
yes, they are. um, one of the things I'm planning on doing myself this year is that I've always wanted to do some sort of digital collection. So not
Uh-huh.
really a comic, but maybe like a collection of images to sell or so.
Mm-hmm.
And like what some people do on Gumroad, for example. Like Gumroad's a site where people can upload like their own little comics or image collections or stuff like that there, and they can sell it online digitally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's
Wait,
something
wait,
that
wait.
I've
Hold
kind of
on.
wanted
Slow
to.
down. This site you
Oh,
just mentioned. What's it called again?
oh, Gumroad. Uh, Gumroad.
Drop that in Discord. I might have a look at it.
Sure, sure.
And then please continue with your story.
Oh, certainly. So
Yeah, that sounds
the
interesting.
So the premise with the site, and I'm linking it to you right now here. Here you go. So the premise of the site is that basically allows you to submit like digital submissions that you can sell through their site.
Mhm.
Most people use it for like comics. Some people use it for art collections, stuff like that. There,
Uh-huh.
or like digital art books. Um, and I've been seeing a lot of artists do it recently over the last couple of years.
Mhm.
And it's something that I've kind of wanted to do is to create like a kind of like my own art book, more or less.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so I thought about doing like a series of images that I can sell as a creation on there
Uh-huh.
for something kind of cheap, maybe like $5 or something.
Right.
Um, and just as a kind of a thing for me to do, because like one of my things is that I never really finish bigger projects and outside of individual images.
Uh-huh.
Like probably the most elaborate thing I did is I did a commission for a fan of Ellie that I mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
um, where they wanted a picture of her in the theme of a advertisement that was done for Cyberpunk 2077.
Mm.
It's the one trailer. I don't know if you saw it, but it's the one trailer where they reveal Johnny Silverhand, Keanu Reeves' character,
Uh-huh.
and he's like, "Wake the f up, samurai!" Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
He wanted something like that, so I drew out an image of Ellie to that in that vein, saying the same thing, but instead of like samurai, she says chat.
Oh, nice.
Um, and what I did was is that I actually made it into several different slides
Mhm.
where I drew two pictures of her. I took one where she's kind of like standing, looking away,
Mm.
and then another one where she's kind of like zoomed in a bit, and it's supposed to play out as the whole scene more or less. So I actually took like one shot of her just standing there, like it looked like, and it looked like it was like all like digitally scrambled to look like she's logging into like a GTA like RPG like
Mhm.
a GTA RP server.
Mhm.
I even took like a screenshot of like a scene within there that looks very similar to like that of the trailer from the actual game itself from Cyberpunk.
Mhm.
And I drew an image of her like standing there. Drew a couple like other like alt images in between that showed like the frames of her like moving in closer while like digitally blinking out and stuff, and putting like some text into it and that sort of thing. It was like that was probably my most elaborate like project, just
Mhm.
because like it was so many different images. But but I haven't really done anything big like that. Like outside of that and the one big commission that I did,
Mhm.
I haven't really done anything like any like series of like images that I could really present or that sort. So I thought that maybe one of the things I'll do this year is that I'll do some sort of like digital art collection and sell it on there.
Hold on. Let me check the thing that you showed me earlier. Okay, got it. That's what I needed. All right. So you want to do a nice old wholesome art book, eh?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Like that's the beauty of when you go in and you just, you drawing is your passion. When like in terms of like a portfolio, you basically have a portfolio, right?
Oh yeah.
But,
I mean,
go on.
and essentially, I mean, I could do it with what I have, but I just feel like I would like to do something special for it.
Right. I can understand that. You just give it a little something extra.
Exactly.
Let's, got to avoid the tangents. Nobody likes tangents. Okay. So let's see here. So do you have any, well, besides wanting to collab with some more people, whether it's,
Hmm.
artists or otherwise, do you have any big like projects or events that are in the pipeline for your channel?
At the moment, no, not yet. Uh, I do hope to do more with it. One of the ideas that I was considering
Uh-huh.
was actually something akin to like what we're doing right now, like doing interviews and that sort.
Uh-huh.
I thought about like thought about a thing where what I would do is I would bring on somebody just kind of just talk to them, and I figured this could be anyone. This could be like a streamer, artist, whatever. And what I would do is I would actually, while I talk to them, draw out their avatar or an OC of theirs and stuff like that.
Well, I can
Um,
see that being an idea. Okay.
yeah. So it's something that I just kind of contemplated. I thought it would be a kind of cool way to just kind of meet people, get to open up to them, and then do something collaborative that's just kind of just relaxing, just kind of sit back, relax, whatever. I haven't quite figured out exactly how I want to do it, but it is definitely something I've considered. Um, but I think before I do anything in that regard, therefore, I do want to clean up my stream more. I want to fix up my layouts, transitions, get a little bit more accustomed to OBS more so than what I am right now currently.
Mm-hmm.
So and then and of course fix up my stream more. I want it to be more interactive and entertaining. So
Mm-hmm. Do you find it challenging sometimes to interact with your audience while you're streaming?
uh, not much. Just
He's a
because like again
fatless
like I'm not a
dude.
big streamer, so it's like my audience is not huge. I think the most I've had in there that's actually because of me and not because of raids is maybe about like 13 or 14 people.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, I think I've been able to manage it okay. I'm keeping up with conversation and that sort, just looking over the chat. Um, and it's just one of those things where like I think like I think I'm okay with it. Like my only problem is that sometimes when I get too into conversation, sometimes I get a little distracted. Like you can see with my art right now, like I get moments where like I get kind of caught up in the thought. I'm like, okay, let me stop for a moment. Let me mention this real quick. Let me. So I mean, but I love the conversation, and I hope that for people that watch me, understand that that are okay with it. That like sometimes I will take moments when I'm drawing just to convey my thought more and talk more and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and again, it's not to pull away from the art because I feel like that's the main reason why people watch me. But I do want to make sure that people are being heard, and that's something that I kind of go back on too. Is that I just I tend to get kind of caught up in things sometimes. I think that's really probably the only hard part about it is that I just get a little caught up.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Like, being able to multitask can be difficult at times, because you're actively doing multiple things at once, as the term implies. And some people can do it really, really well. Some people they need a little bit of practice, and then some people just can't do it at all, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's also for me like another thing that's like I'm gonna have to invest in this soon, but like another like the way my setup is, I have my main monitor, which is my TV, sitting to the right of me, and then to the left of me, I have my boom arm with my mic, and then I have my drawing tablet. And the way it's set up currently, it's a little bit hard for me to kind of go back and forth with chat sometimes because I have on the main screen I have my chat up, usually my stream up as well, and then on the left side, of course, is my was it like clip, and then was it OBS I usually have over here. So I tend to stop a bit too because when looking at chat, I'm literally turning 90 degrees to look at chat.
right.
So it's just I need to have another monitor like right here in between is what I think I need to do because I think once I have that, then I think my what's it? How can I put it? I think my speed when it comes to replying and keeping up with chat would probably be much better.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Do you normally have like moderators when you're streaming, or are you kind of on the hook for all of that?
kind of on the hook because I have one friend who is a mod for me,
Uh-huh.
and I probably should have signed more mods, but I don't really have many mods.
Right.
So I haven't really set that up just yet. Not really, but I figure if I start getting regularly double digit viewers all the time and more people coming in, then I'll start looking at it more. But for now, it's just kind of just me.
Right. I understand. Yeah, I've seen a lot of other content creators where they have like one mod, two mod, 10 mods, all that good stuff. But obviously, they have the the gusto audience to supply for that. Whereas us little guys, we just gotta have to just do the best that we can, of course.
Yep.
But let's see here. Ba, 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 ba. In terms of collaboration, are there any? Yeah, are there any creators out there that you probably are more than interested in collaborating with, like specific people?
I'm pretty open to anybody for the most part. Um, the ones I would want to collaborate with are more so the friends that I've made so far, in the communities. Um, like one friend of mine that I met through Ellie's community, he goes by Cal VT. He's a variety gamer, a PNG tuber as well. He's somebody that I would like to collaborate with more. He's actually the one that I did the voice acting for the one gameplay that he was doing for Ace Attorney. So I'd love to do more with him because he and I have been friends for a while now. What's it? I'm already doing some stuff with my FM Porte. Efson and I, like I said, we've been friends for a very long time, so I love coming on the stream with him and would love to do more collaborative stuff with him. We've done like, I know some of the bigger ones that we did is we did the expansion release for the last two expansions for Destiny, doing both kind of like a podcast beforehand and then playing the actual campaign together for both expansions. That was really fun. I'd like to do more with other people I'm starting to meet now. No particular names that I could really come with at the moment, but just doing more of just trying to join them in maybe some gaming ones or gaming collabs or some sort of art collabs. And that sort of.
Efs and Porte is definitely expressing their interest of collaborating with you.
Yeah, that's kind of where it is. I guess I'm kind of afraid to ask because I don't want to imply, but I'm kind of hoping that somebody will come up and be like, "Hey, you want to join me for this?" I'm down.
Yes, everybody that can hear the sounds of our voices, Bus here is definitely down for some collaborative activity. So if you're looking to collab with a really, really awesome content creator, look no further than KMBus, the man, the legend.
Thanks for that.
Of course. That's what I do.
Oh, man. But yeah, I would love to be able to do more like that. Come on to people's streams, hang out with them, have some fun, stuff like that there. So I hope for more stuff like that.
Okay. Let's see here. Let me see. I'm gonna save here. Did you save?
Not too long ago, but I'll save again.
Okay. I always try to throw out the make sure you save and save often.
No worries, I appreciate it. I have had my moments where I'll suddenly just remember and be like, "Oh man, it's been 5 hours. Let me save real quick."
Right. Because I'm telling you, man, when I was in art school, one of the main things they burned into our retinas was save and save often. And all it took was maybe one or two computers I worked on where that joint crashed, and I was like, well, good thing I hit Control S before that happened. Otherwise, I'd be really sad because that was a lot of work I did.
Oh yeah, no, I've had it happen to me too. It actually happened to me really early on. It's actually part of why I actually save multiple versions of each file too. After I get certain steps done.
Yeah, I need to do that too. Continue.
But yeah, there was this one picture I did a long time ago, and I was really, really proud of it because it had a lot of inking detail in the character. And I was getting ready to get to the coloring, and my computer completely crashed out.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and it saved only most of the inking.
Right.
So I was so I felt so discouraged and so stressed out about it I just finished inking and I just stopped it there. I'm like, sorry, but I cannot continue this.
Right. It's one
And
of those things where it's just like, all right, I lose. I lose. I'm just I'm gonna bury my head into this pillow and cry real quick.
right, like I accept my fate. I understand this is not meant to be. I will stop now. I'll go do something else.
Where's that PS5 again? Ah, there it is. Wait. No, I got it. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to lie with you again.
I do need a save redeem. I do. I want to actually. I need to set up some more. I need to set up some more sound alerts. There's some ones that I've come across that are just hilarious that I really want to have in my stream. So I need to work on that.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good like little soundbite to have like for your channel when not obviously not hoping for that sort of thing to happen, but when it does, you just go in, you hit the little combination of buttons to trigger it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well then, that happened.
Exactly.
Let's see, got that, we got that. Okay. And we do this. Move to 50. Let's see here. So, how many conventions have you gone to?
Let's see here. As far as selling wise goes, I've been to 5. One of which I've been to multiple times, or actually 2 of which I've been to multiple times.
Well,
actually.
we'll look at attendance as opposed to variety.
Okay.
So,
As far as it goes, if I were to talk about like just the total of conventions I sold at,
yeah.
let's see here. About 11 to 12.
You said 12?
Yeah, about 12.
About 12? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Were there any of them that kind of stood out? Like, do you have a favorite?
Probably the Otakon, honestly, because like that's one that I had been wanting to do for the longest. So one of the things about me is that like I didn't even know selling at conventions was a thing until I went to the Otakon back in around like 2001, 2002.
Mm-hmm.
I had just heard about it like through a magazine that I was collecting at the time called An America.
Mm-hmm.
And
And America, I remember that.
Yep. They so through that magazine there was mentioning about conventions and that sort, and I found out about the Otakon down in Baltimore. And what's it? Me and a couple high school friends got together. We drove down there, and we spent one day there. And I had brought my portfolio with my art, not even thinking about any artist alleys or anything like that. I just brought it because I just felt like, well, hey, maybe I'll meet some other artists, that sort. Didn't think anything of it. Well, that day was probably one of the best ever for me because, like, I met some of the artists that inspired me throughout high school. Like I mentioned earlier about that one guy, Fred Perry. He was a guest artist there.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple other American manga artists that were there as well that I knew of, like Adam Warren, Robert DeJesus, stuff like that. And I got to meet all of them in person and talk to them and stuff. Got to show them my art. Got some nice compliments out of them and stuff like that. It was really cool. One of the most changing events though that took place actually wasn't with them.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually with just some random artists I met in the artist alley. And when I went to the artist alley that year, while we were there, I had not known that there was ever such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just seeing a bunch of people selling their artwork and stuff, and I'm like, you can sell your art? Like, completely like threw me off. Like I never even thought of the concept before that. But I I came like so I was going through different tables looking at them, and then I saw this one guy. He had a bunch of like SNK fan art. I was loving all the work he was showing, and he was like, "Oh, dude, you got your portfolio?" It's like, yeah, like here, like take a look. And it's like looking through it, it's like, oh man, this is amazing. And like, mind you, all of this was like stuff before I got into digital artwork. So it's all my just like my drawn stuff, color
Mm-hmm.
like inked in with pen, colored in with color pencils and stuff like that there. And he was just complimenting me left and right about it. And then he said to me, like one of the last things he said to me, and I'll never forget this. He was like, "So where's your table at?"
Oh,
I'm like,
dude.
I was like, just like completely blew my mind. Like I could sell and have a table here. Um, and I told him like, like dude, like I don't. And he's like, oh, you should do it. You should come back this year and do it. I'm like, should I? Oh man. So after that, after that, I had tried to look into going to the convention and selling without any knowledge of what I was doing. I was looking to see what I could do. And it ended up not happening. And it ended up
Mm-hmm.
not happening for several years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Not until I got out here to Missouri. Um, Once I got out here and things got a little settled after we moved in,
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at conventions that I could go to, and I was looking at ACEN, Anime Central up in Chicago. And
Mm-hmm.
then after that, I found out about a local convention here in St. Louis. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh. So I was like, yeah, so I looked them up, and they looked like they were just starting out. They were going into their third year.
Mm-hmm.
They had some artwork on the side. You could tell it's like kind of a startup type thing. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I could try to help them too. Because I didn't really know anybody back then. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I moved out here. Um, so I reached out to them and that sort, and uh, just got really into it and that sort of thing. And then after I met them, that's when my whole thing started with like selling at conventions and that sort. The reason why I mentioned about the Otakon though, and why I mentioned it's like the most memorable one.
Mm-hmm.
The last one that I did was the Otakon,
Okay.
and it was like a bucket list for me to go back there because like it's one of the biggest anime conventions here in America.
Mm-hmm.
They pull in like something crazy like 20, 30,000 people or more or something like that.
Right.
And I had never like by the time I got to there, like I had sold at a couple conventions out here in the Midwest, so I got very comfortable with selling. And the biggest convention I had done pulled in about like 9,000, 10,000 people or so.
Right.
So going to the Otakon was something that I was not anticipating. Like I put in the request for it, not anticipating at all.
Mm-hmm.
Got an email saying like, "Oh, hey, you've been accepted." I'm like my jaw just dropped.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was so cool, and like I didn't know how I was going to do it because it was so expensive to get out there. But my friend, I mentioned her earlier, my friend Betty. She is actually she's actually works in an animation studio doing background artwork now,
Mm-hmm.
and she was it? She asked me because she didn't get into the convention. She asked me like, "Hey, would you mind sharing the table? Like, I'll pay your way to fly out there."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Holy crap!" so like, so I took it. Like, I shared my table with her, um, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, I didn't sell well that weekend, unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of deterred me in the long run about like going back to conventions because it was just like so much money was spent, and I
Right.
had just broken even. And if it wasn't for her, paying my way to get out there, like I definitely would have been in debt.
Right.
Um, but it was still a great experience. Like just being out at a convention that I had promised myself that I would go to at some point. I met a ton of artists out there, even some other artists I looked up to that I wasn't expecting to be there, and
Mm-hmm.
just casually talking with. It was weird and crazy and fun.
Huh.
Um, so yeah, but I would say that's probably my most memorable because even though I didn't sell well,
Mm-hmm.
I just had such an amazing time. It was this whole like circle coming around, for me for the whole thing with doing conventions and that sort.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like yeah, oh man, I don't know. I just it was such an experience.
Yeah, and it all started with one of the more established artists just basically just assuming you had a table already.
Pretty much, man. Like it just put that notion in my mind, and it took me it took me 13 years to get back out there to do it, but I did it.
Well, bro, you're an inspiration for us all. Because Lord knows I got people bugging me about having the table.
Oh, dude, it's the thing about conventions is that like you really just got to apply yourself, and it can be daunting at first because especially like when you think about like the idea of like selling your artwork to strangers and that sort of thing, and not really knowing what to anticipate and that sort. It's just a weird experience, but it's something that like for any artist that really wants to get into the art like big time, right? Like if they want to like really dedicate to being not even just a career, but just like how it is with me, like being their secondary, their side hustle type thing, you definitely need to experience selling at a convention. Like it is truly nothing like it, and I honestly promote that so much that people just need to experience at least once. Just sell your work, see how you feel about it, see what people think about it. That kind of interaction is just amazing.
Oh boy.
Man.
Mr. KMBus, I must ask you, did you have fun this evening?
I certainly did. I really did. Like, even though I'm still not really done with work here for it, I had a lot of fun.
I'm glad you had fun, brother. And like once again, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for coming through and being my guest for this month. Like it's interesting because I think I found you on X by chance. I think the algorithm just kind of lined up, and I've just been keeping track of you ever since. And like,
dude, I appreciate it.
And then the cool thing about it is that since I've been following you and whatnot, I've been had the opportunity to just watch your work just get better and better and better with each passing project. So and then as my wife has already pointed out, you made Nevaeh look gorgeous. Oh my gosh. Like, I mean, we haven't even gotten to the colors yet, but like even now, she looks like a daggone bombshell right now.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna get it done. I just like, there's a lot more to it. I mean, I'm still not even done with the inking. Honestly, I'm still working on the inking right now.
You know what? But see, here's the beautiful part of all this. Like, if you all want to see this completed version of Nevaeh that KMBus is working on, you need to look on the screen. Check out those social media links there, and you need to follow him. You need to follow him. You need to follow him on the Twitter. You need to follow him on Twitter. You follow him on Twitch, Blue Sky Social, and whatever it is I might be missing, so you can see what all he's put together. Because this is but a taste of what he does. That is the whole premise of McAgee3 Meetup. I give you a taste of what my guest has to offer, and if you want more, you have to go check them out. That is the point. That is my mission. That is what I do. So yeah,
awesome.
So Bus, I once again appreciate you for coming through. Speaking of the socials, are the social medias that I have on the screen correct?
Yes, they are.
Okay, good. Just making sure. So yeah, if there's anything that's missing, well, follow him on what I have provided, and he can provide you with the other ones that are missing. That being said, I stream every Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, USA. Normally I rattle off what I normally stream, but as of lately, my scheduling has been kind of turned around due to some other collaborations I've been doing. But just know, Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, I stream at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, USA. I do art. I do Magic the Gathering related content. I do fighting games. I do adventure games. If you like what you saw, give your man a follow. If you love what you saw, give your man a sub. But either way, let folks know that McAgee3 and KMBus are out here putting quality content for each and every one of you. social media on my end. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and DeviantArt at McAgee3. I also have a YouTube channel called McAgee3 Productions, where I do my off-stream grind, Casual Crashers, and McAgee3 Meetup series. This particular episode of McAgee3 Meetup will be found on the YouTube channel. In case for your friends or whatever who didn't quite see it or didn't get an opportunity to see it, you'll be able to catch the replay there. So make sure you hit subscribe on the YouTube channel, hit the bell icon, get up to date on all the content that comes up there. As the stream hasn't already demonstrated, I am an artist. I do emotes, sub-badges, avatars, and banners, but currently I'm working on my original comic book, which features the character that KMBus is drawing right now. The comic book is called Blue Ninja, The Story of Navaya, which you can find on the DeviantArt page, deviantart.com/McAgee3. Episodes 1 through 5 can be found for your reading pleasure on the DeviantArt page. You can also find my mini-series Shuriken Shorts and my other art projects, including this one I just did, on the site as well. And as of for right now, my art stream is on Friday, so if you want to catch me working on episode 6, just catch me at Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, USA. Cool. Sweet. KMBus, do you have any closing remarks on our way out the door?
Oh, no, dude, I'm good. I just want to say, like, to me, I really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. And, man, I just thank you so much for being just a great host.
Hey, man, I tried. Thank you for being a great guest. Shout outs on the way out the door. We got F. Porte. I might be saying that wrong. Please bear with me. Reign of the Eternal Night. We have Fakuza. And that is it. Everybody in the chat. All my lurkers, thank you for hanging out with me tonight in chat. F. Porte. And loser ways. Thank you for the follows, you guys. You're loved and appreciated for that. Thank you. That is going to conclude tonight's session, this month's session of McAgee3 Meetup with my guest KMBus. Once again, you should use the social media information on the screen to check him out, follow him, and see the completion of this really, really awesome Navaya that he's drawing, because it's amazing. I will see you all. So let's see. I will see you all tomorrow for another edition of Saturday Sluggers, where we will be playing Tekken 8. If I don't see you tomorrow, I will see you on Tuesday for some gaming with the gents. We'll be playing Power Wash Simulator because we just got finished playing Elden Ring, so we need to play something a little more light. And if for whatever reason I don't see you on Tuesday, I'll see you next week for another edition of Drawing for Turn, where we're going to do some more drawing. And we got some more Magic the Gathering stuff going on as well. So, all that being said, you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday. And in regards to what's going on in the world right now, I will once again leave you all with this. It is always darkest before dawn. So you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Bye-nie!